Who the fuck said I can't celebrate Cinco de Mayo? You might as well wipe your tears with a tortilla. In case your brain is suffering, Cinco de Mayo isn't even a real holiday in Mexico. They're not throwing parades in Cancun over the Battle of Puebla. You know who does celebrate it though? America. We turned it into an excuse to drink, eat tacos, and party. The same as St. Patty's. Because if there's one thing we're going to do is turn a minor historical event into a full-blown tequila bender with $1 tacos and a DJ named DJ Jalapeno. I'm putting on the biggest, fakest mustache party city sales, and I'm blasting Vicente Fernandez out of a speaker that costs more than your rent. And I'm going to eat so many tacos and enchiladas till I black out and wake up speaking fluent spite. You think I'm going to skip a tequila shot because some keyboard activist with a sociology degree from TikTok University told me I'm not allowed to? Absolutely, the fuck not. On May 5th, I'm going to be outside blasting Selena, grilling carne asada in shorts and boots, raising my glass to toast to your rage. We're my Mexican homies who voted red too. But here's what I don't get though. Y'all with y'all America's stolen land, abolish the military, burn the flag energy, still take off work and barbecue for the 4th of July. Memorial Day, Veterans Day, Labor Day, President's Day, fucking Arbor Day. You get a 3-day weekend and suddenly you fucking love the country again? Nah, don't cherry pick patriotism now. If I can't drink a Modelo on May 5th, then guess what? You don't get fireworks on July 4th. No hot dogs on Memorial Day. No beach on
Michigan and Florida. 13-year-old girl has now been given visitation to her father. She was raped at the age of 18 to 4 years old. There's all kinds of evidence that of C-SPAM. You know, there was plenty of evidence. It got deleted in Michigan. It's a big shit show. So I've got a big call to action for that. So before we get started, anything to say, Jennifer?
Hey, Sally. Thanks for hosting. Okay, guys, this is the first time I'm hosting and having my profile on here at the same time. So I have American Mission on my laptop. So just know this is the first time I've ever done this. I just figured out how, I can't right click because I have a Mac, right? So there's no right click on Sally. So I was trying to figure out how to make her co-host, and I didn't realize I had to go down to the actual little people at the bottom and invite co-hosts that way. So it's a learning curve, guys. Okay. So if the space goes down or whatever, we'll restart, but it shouldn't. I'm just, covering my bases here. I know, right? Look at me, all technological.
Yeah, she was going to put me as a flag, but I'm like, can you put me as a flag in 9 minutes? Because I don't know if that's going to be possible for me. Yeah, it probably could have been, but this was last minute. I've been contacting as many people as I could starting early this morning. I tried to contact Lee. Oh gosh, I can't say her last name. Donna. Wait, hold on. Let me pull her name. I have it saved on my phone. She's actually she does these cases pro bono. So I've contacted her. I tried calling her office, but she doesn't know me. I've left a couple messages, and she's not active on X. I think we need to get her active on X because she does a lot of this stuff. She does it pro bono, and I think there's things that we can do to help. Miss Lee Dundas. But I tried contacting her office, and then I contacted Allie Hopper. She's actually very familiar with the case. So I invited her to see if she could possibly give us the right people to contact, because this girl has been given visitation to her daughter. The girl is now 13 years of age, and this brave girl went to the authorities. And we can go into more of a little bit of the details. I mean, it's horrific. So I don't know if we want to tackle the Ed Martin part of this first, and then tackle the other part. I'm going to leave that up to you, Jennifer.
Doesn't matter to me, Sally. If you want to tackle this first, and then we'll get more people in here, and then we can tackle the Ed Martin part of it. Maybe do a real quick, go over for people in this space, and then give them the tools in which they need to do this call to action to bring some much needed light on this issue that Sally's bringing up, as well as getting Ed Martin, who was previously with Eagle Forum and Phyllis Schlafly and has been very helpful to the J6ers, Data Republican, put a whole big thread out last night about him. And like we said, he is one of President Trump's nominees. And he's specifically nominated for DC prosecutor. I think I got that right. I hope I'm not confused. Kelly says I'm right. Okay, hopefully she's talking about that and not on the delay. So, yeah. So we're just going to kind of do a little call to action for the Manic Monday space, guys. So retweet the space. And yeah, thanks.
Real quick though, we don't have a purple pill, do we?
I just
Wanna
created
keep
one.
going?
I'm going to create. Sorry, I was going to address that real quick. Sorry, Kelly, don't mean to cut you off. I just created one. I just reposted this space to my profile, and then I'm going to put it up top in the jumbotron. So, guys, leave any comments above in the comment section of the reposted space up above, so that we can have everything all in one spot. So go ahead, Kelly.
That sounds great. And the only other thing I was going to ask, Sally, if you've got any kind of link or anything you can post so I can share with the streams for about the call to action for you.
Yes, I'm just working on the links as we speak. Sorry, this is a scrambled last minute space.
No, this is literally last minute. Like, Sally invited me to her space, and I was like, wait, American Mission's doing a call to action too. Like, let's just combine the two at the last minute. So, guys, if it seems like a shit show, it's a shit show, okay? Just buckle in and hold on tight.
Let's do it.
Never a shit show with you guys. Come on now. Never a shit show.
But we are going to reserve spots. I don't know when Aaron can join. He is familiar with the case as well, but I do know that he is a very busy person. So if he gets up to speak, and give him deference to answer any questions, to give us any input. Hopefully, Allie will get in here because she's familiar. And I do have links of the case, and they're on my other device. So I'll get them below in the purple pill. I listened to a YouTube video. I wasn't feeling well. I went to bed early for the first time in forever. And of course, I wake up sick for like 3 hours. I'm going to go listen to We Are the People Utah. They put out some really good stuff. They're battling the satanic ritual abuse here in Utah. And, so they're trying to really expose a lot of the child trafficking stuff, advocating for victims. It's like, he puts out good stuff. I'll just go to sleep to him, right? Oh, no, I wasn't going to sleep while listening to this case. Like, at 6 a.m., I was on the phone. Like, I didn't even go to bed. I got up, started trying to call Lee, and I was like, I want to help. And I guess I'm going to keep trying to put this out there until this girl does not have to go see her dad anymore. I mean, 4 years old, 18 months to 4 years old. This girl's been getting really amazing help and amazing care. The judges totally botched the case in Michigan. And I'll go into the details of that, but I have it pulled up to where I can read it to you guys. It's lengthy, and I'll post the actual article from her website, and you guys can read it. It is very, very detailed. But this girl should not have custody. He's in Jacksonville, Florida, currently as I don't know if they call it a police officer at the school. So not only did they have proof of C-SPAM with very young kids, like she was 4, right? Evidence under the age of 4 years of age. They not just her, there was boys under that age. So this is not a one-off. Somehow Michigan, so he flew to Florida originally. He got extradited back to Michigan. The charges were so egregious that there was no bail bond. They were not letting him, so it was him and the grandfather. Him and the grandfather were doing this. Both of their DNA is there on the floor. Evidence, picture evidence. They had it all. Gets extradited to Michigan. There was evidence. They should have never been let out. Somehow whoever the prosecuting attorney had an appropriate relationship with one of their clients who was a sex abuse victim. So somehow this case just got brushed under the rug. Charges were dropped. They gave the phones that had the evidence on it back to the dad, and then they deleted all the evidence they had on file. So ask me how in the hell this happens. To me, it seems coordinated. Why is and he was a police officer in Michigan, right? So this girl's already terrified of police officers. So then, so she's already terrified of police officers. They didn't have to have visitation. Well, the dad decides, flees to Florida after he gets let out, charges dropped. This started in 2020, this part of it. Goes to Jackson, Florida, and now he was suing for custody of his child. He goes to Florida. He's able to become a police officer. He was arrested for the most egregious crimes. How does someone become a police officer in Jacksonville, Florida? It's unheard. It's unreal. I can't even fathom it. And so I've been sick. I was anxious and nauseous all day. And I'm like, I don't know how to help. But if we can make phone calls or we could send emails, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to appreciate anyone that can help participate in this call to action. Does anybody have any questions? There's a lot of information in here. Can people hear me?
Yes,
Thumbs up?
I can hear you, Sally. I don't have any questions. I was trying to get Savvy, the co-host. That's what I was attempting to do.
Perfect.
So hopefully she sees it.
I'm going to cancel her invite to speak because that might cause it to glitch. So I'm going to, I didn't click the invite to speak yet, so it won't glitch out. No, you're fine. So
Sally,
so I want
to summarize that, some guy basically had some charges against him. He went to a different state, then he came here to Florida, and he got a job as a policeman. And he moved to more heinous crimes. Am I correct or am I off?
Yes. No, it was horrific. I mean, then the judge is trying to give custody or visitation. They have granted visitation rights to the father. And when they drove, DCF got involved. So she was in over Valentine's Day. She was supposed to go see her dad, and as they're driving, the mom's in Michigan. They live in Michigan, so she drives her down to Florida. When they arrive in Florida, they are intercepted by DCF. DCF has a police officer come and interrogate her, and she says, "If you send me to my dad's, I will kill myself. There's no way that you could put me there. I will kill myself." So what did they do? They put her on that 3-day, 72-hour psych hold, which is like one of the worst things that you could ever do to a rape victim in the first place, especially at 13 years of age. I mean, so they put her. They don't believe her. The alleged charges, right? There was picture evidence of all this stuff that got destroyed in the Michigan case. So they put on her psych hold. So she's supposed to be going back to visit him, where he could have regular scheduled visitations. And he's threatened to kill her before. And it wasn't just pictures. There was pictures of bondage, kids tied up, young little kids tied up. So go ahead, Miss Savvy.
Hi, Sally. You guys, you don't understand the stress that this has caused Sally since she learned of this. And you can, I mean, if you haven't been able to hear it in her voice, I mean, this is terrible. I have a couple questions though, because I was finishing up work, and unfortunately, I'm so sorry I was a little bit late. Tell me where the mom is on all of this, because I'm sure I missed that. But tell me where the mom is. Is there not a child ad litem that can, that can speak for her? I don't understand with all of the evidence against the dad, against what did you say, the uncle too, or grandfather as well?
Yeah, step grandpa who was incarcerated for 2 years for raping a handicapped child while he was in his care as a nurse. And he got caught with his pants down, with his penis in her vagina, and he admitted it with his own mouth. So these people get divorced, they split up, whatever. And every other weekend, he takes his child, the 18 months of age, to his mother's house every other weekend from 18 years to 4 years of age. And it wasn't until this young girl was able to talk to mom and say, "Hey, this is happening," right away, she went and filed charges against dad and grandpa. But they didn't they pretty much dismiss it. So we have this Lee Dundas, who is an attorney, and all of this stuff is done pro bono. Anything that has to do with the sex trafficking, anything that has to do with sex crimes or anything like this, she does pro bono. So she has someone advocating for her, trying to make a difference. So I watched her on an interview this morning with We Are the People Utah, and she goes into graphic detail. And I'll put the article. I sent you the article, or I sent you the interview this morning. She's very detailed, and she doesn't leave out words. So if you guys listen to it, she's not going to leave out words. I'll put that in the pill as well. Did that make sense? So anyway, so
Yes.
her mother's been advocating for her. She's
Right,
admitted.
but I guess maybe I'm confused as to, with all of this evidence from the dad and the step granddad or whatever, why she is even being released back into his care. Are these supervised visits?
Oh, let's
or
talk
are
about
they
the judges. Let's talk about
Yes.
the judges that have effed this all up, right? So this judge in Florida, for whatever reason, has suppressed anything that this girl has said. They made it to where she could no longer see her therapists that were giving her care, like they were helping her to get better. And if you've been, a victim of sexual assault, it's tough. It is really, really hard to go through. It's a tough process. I can't even imagine what it would be like as a child. And so anyway, the judge made it to where she couldn't have her regular therapy sessions. Well, mother got like she needs to have a good therapist. She wants to self-harm. And this mother comes from she makes good money. She makes like $500,000 every 2 weeks. So anyway, the mother's like, I've got to get her into care. These therapists, they wouldn't let her talk about the abuse. So the court changed who her therapists were. They made them do see different therapists. These therapists would not let her talk about the abuse. They coached her.
Where was this tell me where this is located, because if y'all recall, back in Florida, around 2022, there was a case for a minor, and she was basically kidnapped by the hospital system in Florida. I don't know if y'all remember that too.
Yeah, I watched that entire trial.
Okay, so I'm wondering, are these in and around the same area? Just curious.
I'll look and see, because it might be. But anyway, Aaron does have his hand up, and he'll probably be able to speak to this more clearly than I am, because I'm trying not to be emotional about this, but I real clearly am. So go ahead, Aaron.
I wouldn't say more clearly, but I wanted to clarify just something as the conversation develops and goes forward. These things are going to be dependent by state basis. Okay, so there may have been a case in Florida or in Georgia or in Indiana, Michigan, et cetera, but there's going to be local buy-in throughout all those different things. That's due to, well, there's a lot of things there, but that's part of the problem. Other parts, though, do include federal jurisdiction and oversight, and a lot of these things can come from the Family Safe Act. So all I recommend is, this is please, as the room grows and as more shares happen, when you guys talk about the call to action, this has got to be there has to be a change. So like, not changing, not the fucking judges being fired and somebody else going in. I'm not talking about that kind of bullshit. I'm talking about a change to the actual way things are done when it comes to the Family Safe Act, when it comes to Title IV funding, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Medicaid, Medicare, everything. So how do I put this in words? Just please make sure that you keep that as a constant to this conversation. Because if the structure doesn't change, you're just going to repeat this shit in a couple more years. If that makes any sense.
Yes, you're saying that personnel is, in this case, that's not personnel's policy. It is changing laws.
It's a bit of both, but yeah, because you have a patchwork of law and executives over this whole thing. Like by law, I mean federal and state law. By executives, I mean administrators for the federal bureaucracy and state government agencies. So because you have a patchwork quilt of again, of law and of actual enforcement, you're never going to have a response without addressing that part first. So you can change out every single person in the system because, yeah, personalized policy might be good for a little bit, but it's still the same system. So you're going to revert right back again to kids being exploited, trafficked, et cetera. So I just highly recommend, like, people can't walk away from this one without understanding, like, this is a massive, massive lift by the, that has to get done. I'm not going to say by the people, but there has to be a major change in basically, and I hate to say this, guys, but creating a new system, because you're never going to fix this thing because it's a patchwork quilt. It's always going to have its inherent problems. You're going to have to create a new system as a whole.
Okay, that's very helpful. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to try to get Allie Hopper, she does a lot with legislation and advocating for that. I don't know if she's currently co-hosting another space right now. She might be in. I do want to thank everyone that is here. I want to thank American Mission, Savvy. This morning, before I even went to sleep, I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna go to bed because you agreed to this. So, because I reached out to everyone, I reached out to Adam, I reached out to Kimberly. You guys are terrible with checking your DMs, by the way. Even when I DM you to check your DMs. Anyway, appreciate you guys for being here and listening. We do have two really, 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 really important calls to action today. So we're going to be talking about Ed Martin, and we're going to be talking about this case as well. And I'm multitasking here, trying to put links in the pill so that you guys can go and you can, all the information is there. Like this whole entire case, she's got it on her website. I just put it down below, or it's up above in the Jumbotron because the purple pill is broken. But if you click on that Spaces link, all of the information is down below on that. But it goes through all the case. It goes through everything, the DNA evidence. It actually has the picture evidence. DeSantis extradited the father to Michigan, where both men faced bond hearings, and Judge Nancy Carniak on May 16th, 2019, held them over without bond. The case was so egregious. She's like, 20 years I've been on the bench, I've never denied an individual bond. But I think if there's any case that would have this kind of reason, I don't know. I don't want to get into conspiracies, but we all know how the child trafficking and the child pornography rings work. It seems to always be there's judges involved. There's police officers involved. We have a case like this here in Utah right now. But you have people higher up in authority that are involved that either drop the ball accidentally or they do it intentionally. So the system does need to change. Laws need to change, and there needs to be protections put in place. All right, go ahead, Pixel.
Sorry, I just texted Allie. She said she can jump on probably in about 5 minutes. She's driving, but yeah, she introduced us to Aaron last week, and I really appreciate him. And so I just wanted to give you the update.
Pixel, thank you so much. I messaged her because she'll know the people who we need to contact, which is going to be very, very, very helpful. So thank you, Pixel, so much. All right. Does anybody have anything right now? I'm sorry. This is a lot to take in. I'm just looking through here to see if there's...
I was just about to say, I was like, I think people are sort of absorbing a case like this because, I don't care how much, I don't care how corrupt a judge is. These are our kids, and you would hope and you would think that, no matter what the situation, that they would be advocates for our children. And I think those listening are trying to take this in because this is a very, very, very heavy topic. So I think that's why. But if anyone, please, would like to get involved with this, help us out here, please don't hesitate to DM any of us on the speaker panel. Also, please, you hit the little plus sign and share out the space that way to get more eyes and ears on this case. And then if you have any questions, you can @ us or request a mic. That would be great.
And you can also, if you guys want to quote post, because there's not a purple pill, makes it hard, just go up to the Jumbotron, click onto my repost, and you can quote post that repost because it'll help. Quote post get more reach. I've put it in all of my rooms that I know of that follow me. Hopefully that this is I've got contact information. Okay, I scrolled down to the bottom. We've got the people who to contact here.
I'm posting those numbers in the purple pill now in the chat. That list of contacts.
Oh my gosh, Kelly, you are a godsend. I was just about to figure out how I was going to type and do a space.
Yeah, I'm just copy pasted. I'm putting as much as I can, and I reposted the post on the case, so that's down there. And I'll get this to the people in the chats and the streams.
You are so, oh my gosh, no wonder why you guys have Kelly around. Holy crap.
Love you.
Yeah, so I do apologize. This is a heavy case, and I usually would sugarcoat words, but when I'm talking about child trafficking, I can't sugarcoat words anymore. And I do have anxiety right now talking about this, so I'm going to do my best to keep mustering through this. So we've got people. We have Contact Florida Acting Attorney General John Gard by emailing him at oag.sivil.myfloridalegal.com. It's a long email. Or Citizens Service at myfloridalegal.com. All right, here's phone numbers. This is what we want. This isn't doxing because this is public, right? This is public information. So his name is General John Gard. His phone number is 850-414-3990. And then we have contact Stephen Harris, who is the head of the Florida Department of Child and Family, by phoning her Deputy Chief Staff, Sam Curse, at 850-488-9410, or by emailing her at Siobhan.Harris at, I know that name, sorry, Siobhan.Harris at myflfamilies.com. Siobhan Harris, I wonder if she was involved with that case that you were talking about, Savvy, with the girl that was.
Let me look it up real quick. Hold on. I'm actually I'm multitasking, working and doing this. So, Siobhan Harris.
It's SEVAWN. I think she testified in that case.
Spell it again.
SHEVAWN Harris, HARRIS.
Okay.
I believe that she testified in the.
I don't know what hit me about
Maya Kowalski case from Family Services.
Maya case.
I hope it is okay, Sally, but I did pin up in the Jumbotron that list of numbers.
Defendant.
Post.
Maya Kowalski. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me mute.
She was working out loud. Go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah, so I just put up in the Jumbotron, I copied in the list of numbers from the case. And then also to reply to that, I copied in their suggested script that you may want to use.
I'm just going to say, guys, if you are not following American Mission and you're not subscribed to American Mission, for $2 a month, this is one reason right here. You have people like Kelly who are just like, oh, here's a post, here's a suggested script. This is why. This is what they do, and I'm so grateful right now. I'm just beyond words right here. All right, I'm not going to read off all of the numbers because they're above in a post, so then I don't have to go through all that. But so here is all of the stuff. You've got all the email addresses, you've got their phone numbers of each department up above, and
I just found a GoFundMe for them too. I'll post that on the Gibson Go.
Good, because I had that sent to me, so that would be perfect. So yeah, go
ahead.
I'll
put that in there too.
Hey Sally, Doña Ali has arrived.
Who has?
Sorry, Ali.
Oh, I thought you said Mrs. the other lady. I was like,
I'm
what?
sorry.
She got her here?
I apologize because it's because of my father's side of the family being Hispanic. We always had to refer to the ladies as Doña, so it's like I apologize. It's an old holdover.
Yeah, so the lady's name was Lee, right? And so I'm like, what? You got her to come in here? Her Dundas is her last name. So I was like, whoa. Let's see. So Ali, I sent you a microphone. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I have room on stage for you. If you could come up, that would be awesome. All right, guys, we're just trying to get this space up, back and running. It crashed on American Admissions end. So we're just going to do our best to get everyone back out here, get Allie Hopper back in here. So it's going to take just a second. I sent you the co-host, Savvy. I'm going to get Kelly back up here, sent you the link. Obviously, you saw that, Kelly. Please tell me this is working. So I got one speaker, got Kimberly back up here. Man, let's see if we can get all these people back. Most importantly, all right, at least we have a purple pill, so that's amazing.
Yay.
Oh, yay. We got Kelly. Savvy, why can't I get you up? We'll try this again.
Well, the good news is we have a pill.
Yes, that'll be very beneficial for putting the calls to action down below. Let's try this again.
And the best thing to do is just grab the one post that everybody was working off of and stick it down in the bubble.
You're so smart. I'll go grab that right now.
I try. Hi, Kelly.
Hello.
I can't stay long, but I figured I'd come in and try and help you guys.
Okay. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'll link it too down in there.
Oh, there's Jen. Good.
Oops, now I got to get back.
Am I here now?
You're here.
Hi.
Hi, Sammy.
Hi, Kim.
Thank you, Allie, for coming back. I'm so glad that you're back here. Let's just give it just a second to share this out, and then I'm going to have you explain. I did the best I could explaining it. I mean, I watched the video from We Are the People from that Lee was on this morning. Well, she was on 11 days ago. I was sick last night. So I'm I'll go to this We the People. Let's go to my favorite channel to learn about satanic rituals, abuse, and child trafficking. Okay, usually I can handle what's going on, but this case, I could not sleep afterwards until I got a hold of Savvy, said that she would do a space with me. And this afternoon, I didn't want to step all over Jennifer's toes because I know that American Mission does their thing, but no one got back to me. But this was important enough that I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do a space. I have to do a space on this. We need a call to action. Down in the purple pill, there's going to be a list of contact information to contact, but maybe you're going to maybe Allie, you could tell us who more specifically will be the best people to reach out and how we should position our messaging so that as we're making this contact, that we're actually making a difference and not just speaking lip service.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you guys doing a call to action on this. I know that Leah's been dedicated to this for years, and it's been going on, unfortunately, for years. And there are many, the little girl's name is Avery. There are many Averys. And if we can't fix the situation, phone call. If we can't fix the situation with Avery, there's always going to be another Avery behind her. And unfortunately, I got another call from another Florida family with a very similar thing happening, although the father isn't a police officer. They are returning the child back to the joint custody with the abusive parent, in this case, the dad. And this is happening in Naples, Florida. And so it just begs the question, like, what is going on that our systems are so broken that that the one system that is designed solely to protect the children and with the child in mind, that it is doing anything but that. And so when you have another girl like Avery that is being forced back into her abuser's arms, why is this happening? Why is every system failing us? The judicial system, DCF, and this is in Florida. I mean, we have a governor that advocates for child protection. And so it never ceases to amaze me when these circumstances arise. And the reporter was actually, in this case, was a psychiatric nurse practitioner and mandatory reporter. And so when she, time and time again gets silenced and told to drop the case, it makes you wonder why. So I actually got her in contact with Lee because there were a lot of similarities between Avery's case and this little girl's case. This little girl is 9 and Avery is 13 or 14 years old now. So this has been going on for a decade for Avery. But I got Lee connected because I wanted them to not only have connection with each other, but to see if there's like a pattern of behavior, a pattern of criminality going on, and how can we address this brokenness that's in our system. But the situation with Avery, I mean, she's had numerous attorneys look over her case. Lee is one of the greatest. Dr. Latipo is involved with this. So everyone from the highest levels of Florida government all the way down to the local level is aware of this. But it's like I said, every single organization, institution has failed this little girl and continues to fail children time and time again.
So I had Nick Bryant on. I've actually been in contact with him still. I invited him to this space as well because there's a lot of overlap that I see with the Franklin scandal as what I'm seeing here in this situation. And I don't know if you guys know the Franklin scandal was a huge child sex trafficking ring going clear back into the 80s, right? When that case started, being opened wide up, then we start going into the Epstein. So I just feel like these rings continue to happen that are statewide. You have police officers involved, you have judges involved, and does it go higher up to the Senate and governor? I don't know. I'm not saying in this case it is, but I've seen that correlation with the Franklin scandal, and this case just reeks of that. I mean, how do you have DNA evidence? Like there's no way it wasn't the father, right? The DNA evidence was like there's no way it was anyone else, right? The girl at 4 years of age with talking to police officers was able to go to the room and explain what happened in this room, where everything happened in this room. When the dad and the grandpa get arrested, they confiscate the cell phones. They have pictures of underage children. I'm kind of repeating this for anyone that just rejoined again. But you have picture evidence on their phones of bondage of, like, I'm not talking like 12-year-olds. We're talking young children. Like this girl was 18 months old when she started being raped by these two men. And it happened until she was old enough to speak and communicate to her mother. And her mother was just an amazing person. Like, I don't say amazing person, but she's been advocating and fighting for her child and fighting to help her get better. And the system has screwed her over. How do you stop a case this egregious when you have picture evidence because someone dropped the ball in Michigan? So charges are dropped. Cell phones are returned back to the dad with all of the picture evidence of the C-SPAM on his phone. You give it back to him, right? How do you do that? And you delete evidence. So dad goes and escapes to Jacksonville, Florida. He is a police officer at a high school. Now, do you want a person who rapes very, very young children being a police officer at a high school? Like, and the judge there, and so he fights for custody of the child, right? Because usually when a parent fights for custody, they're just hoping to either get visitation or partial visitation rights. So they usually overly ask for it so they can get something in between. Well, the judge suppresses everything that this girl, they're like, got rid of her therapists, gives her new therapist, the ones that were helping her to not want to harm herself, is helping her to heal. And this new judge is like, oh no, you can't have those therapists. We're going to give you different ones. The new therapist, upon orders from the judge, told the therapist that this girl's not allowed to talk about what she went through. And instead, the therapist, who is supposed to be a mandated court reporter, right? You have the judge, mandated reporter. All these people are mandated reporters. So she's not allowed to talk about her abuse. So she's not getting better. So mom, what she does, as she has enough money, she goes and hires her own therapist. Well, the dad sues for contempt of court because they don't want this little girl talking to a therapist, right? Because why would you want this girl to get better? So you're collecting my thoughts here. So anyway, so she is held in contempt of court, has to pay back a $247,000 something fine to the court system for getting her daughter a therapist that was actually going to help her. There ended up being a new judge put in place. So that's kind of where, I don't, does anyone have any questions? Like I've said, I've read through everything today. I watched this interview this morning. I've just been kind of sick about it all day.
Well, I guess, first of all, I saw the call to action. I don't know if Lee has updated that in a while, but last I heard, Siobhan Harris is no longer the Florida Department of Children and Family head anymore. So I don't know who that point person would be. But it just, when you have a situation and a case that spans 2 states, when does it elevate and have to escalate to higher than 2 states' judicial systems or their justice systems? When do you now start having, these assault charges rise to a higher level because it happened in one state and now it's happening in another? But I think that at a minimum, if that father is still working as the school police officer, if he's still there, I mean, I would be livid if I were the parents of children at that school.
So I know that she did a press conference. So while they were in court, I think it was during the contempt charges. I can't remember if it was during the contempt charges, but anyway, Lee was outside doing a press conference, clear out, because he wasn't allowing evidence into the case. Like, no, you can't say that she was abused. They had evidence of it. He was not allowing all the evidence to be presented during the custody hearing. He was granted visitation of this daughter. So while that was happening, she was doing a press conference and putting all the information out there. So I don't know how the people in the public are not aware that this guy is a police officer at their high school who is accused of heinous crimes that they had evidence of. So that's where I don't understand.
Yeah, and I know some of us are familiar with the account Sun Tzu. That's attorney Benjamin Moore, and he is an attorney out of Jacksonville. He's looked over the case too. He's very familiar with Avery's case. He's been assisting Lee as well. So there's been many eyes on the case, and there's been a lot of maneuvering going on. But it's still the fact that it was going on from the youngest age for Avery, and now she's 14, and still, multiple states can't get it right. We still can't get it right. It's just absolutely embarrassing and shameful.
I guess I'm just kind of okay, guys. So I do have. Go ahead.
I was going to say, they set up this apparatus. They basically co-opted all of our child protective services, and they created this trafficking network with our institutions. So this has been slowly eroding and in the works for a long time. And with the Biden administration, they just put it on hyperdrive and, let her rip.
Well, and I think the other thing we need to look at is we look at the justice system. We look at criminal and civil and all of the other courts, but we have to start to figure out how to handle and whether it's dismantle and rebuild or change family court, because family court's a whole hot mess. I mean, you can take any direction in family court and it's a mess, whether it's custody to a mom, custody to the father, abuse cases, anything. The whole family court system is a mess. So really, I think a lot of this comes down to is the failure of the family court system.
Well, and I think that's part of it too, is because all of those cases are sealed, right? You cannot, not just some random Joe Schmo can go into any of those courts. No one can go look up their records, if I'm understanding that correctly. So they're sealed. So how does the public get to know about these things unless people talk out about it? Or am I misunderstanding the law?
No, I appreciate you bringing attention to this again, though, Sally, because Lee has just been, fierce in her fight for Avery and for children like Avery. So we need to, the worst thing we can do is let Avery's story die, and with no change being made, because then, all of that terror and horror is for nothing. Like, if we could at least get something changed or some justice sought, then at least there's that.
Go ahead, Jen.
Hey, Sally. So, and thank you for reopening the space. Appreciate you. I just want to go back and touch on a point that you just brought up, which I think is interesting. And I'm not just like, don't think I'm referring to this case, right? I'm talking more about the system, like the legal system in general, right? But I would argue that the entire legal system is set up to shut people up, right? The first thing, like if you have a case, right, if either you did something wrong, right, or something wrong was done to you, right, the first thing they're going to tell you to do is what? Hire a lawyer. Okay. You hire a lawyer, you go and talk to that lawyer. What does the lawyer tell you to do? Keep your mouth shut. Do not say anything. Do not talk to any media. Do not talk to any press. Right. And if it's a federal case, right, then you have the added layer of the federal system coming down at you with their 99.6% conviction rate. Right. And they're also silencing you. Right. Because, like, honestly, in a lot of cases, the lawyer, right, unless they're like outstandingly good, and there's not really many of those, right, like they're kind of doing the bidding of the courts, right? You as a person, right, should be able to go out and defend yourself, right, and not have to put yourself under an officer of the court in order to defend yourself and like go through this ridiculous process and be railroaded, right? Just because, like, oh, well, the social contract of the legal system says you have to hire a lawyer, and then that lawyer tells you to shut up. That even if people are out there slandering your name, even if the prosecution is doing shady ass shit, right? Or the defense, right? Like, you don't get to go out and say a word. And I think like that is, it's not just for people who are being convicted of crimes, right? It's for witnesses. It's for people who are victims, right? That like so many times people are silenced, right? And their story never gets to be told because the outcome of the court case, right, is a settlement out of court, right? Which one of the key stipulations of that usually is you don't get to talk about anything. Or you can lose your money, right? Or the person gets convicted, right? And is anybody really interested in the story at that point if the guy's already been convicted and is serving a sentence? Right? So the victim never really gets a chance other than on a court stand where they are being completely controlled by a lawyer. It's just, I really feel like there's a severe flaw somewhere, right? And have been on the receiving end where I was being told by a lawyer to keep our mouth shut, like you're not allowed to talk about anything, even though completely innocent, right? Like it's mind-blowing how corrupt and broken the court system is.
Allie just asked me if I'm doing hands. Right now, the space is small enough that we don't have to do hands. But with Jen put her hand up because she's close, so I just went to her. So no, we don't have to do hands. You guys can request a mic and add to this conversation. the biggest thing is I don't want people just to be in this space and having this conversation. I want you to go. I mean, Kelly did such a great job up above putting in the emails. She even gave a script that you can use, right, for the call to action. If you could either call or you could email, and I'll try to get an updated list if there's an updated list of people to contact. But go ahead, Allie.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right, Jennifer. And unfortunately, the court system is just really flawed. My dad's an attorney. I'm a paralegal. I've worked in a variety of different aspects of law. The only one I haven't done, or the only two, is criminal and family, because both of them just send chills down my spine. But every other aspect of law I've pretty much touched at one point or another. And it really is, if you can get the best attorney, even if you have representation, it's like, do you have the best representation? You could have all the evidence in your court, and you could have everything lined up, but if you don't have a attorney that presents the information well, then you risk losing. And then you have situations like, okay, is it going to be trial by judge or trial by jury? Is it going to be criminal civil? Is it going to be family? Are there going to be, if some states, if you lose, then you have to pay both sides legal fees. So it gets really complicated, and then it also discourages a lot of people from even going all the way through the court system. And a lot of people end up just taking a plea deal. It's less risk. And a lot of times in a plea deal, you have to accept some sort of guilt, even if you're not guilty. So you end up sometimes with, certain charges on you or against you, or that you're admitting to, just because you don't want to play Russian roulette with your life. And it's really not, it's not fair. It's not the way that I think our founding fathers intended for this to be. And so when you say, oh, everyone is, granted representation, okay, but if someone has a court file or a court backlog of like 50 cases and basically skims over yours, is that true representation? Not really. I would argue not really.
Well, and Allie, the amount of times like I've sat across from a lawyer, right? Because of like literally everything that I've had to go through the past couple of years, it's been a lot of lawyers, right? So the amount of just completely shady lawyers, right? And the amount of times where they'll say something along the lines of like, oh, well, like something like, oh, well, this is good for you. I have a great relationship with the prosecutor. Right. And it's like, oh, okay. So not only like, hold up a second, like I'm innocent. Like it shouldn't matter if you have a great relationship with the prosecution or a great relationship with this, that, and the third. Okay. What should matter is I'm innocent. Right. And then I don't know if you're familiar with Brian Colfage's case with We Build the Wall. But the way they and Jay Sixers especially, but the way they have railroaded, absolutely freaking railroaded people with the plea bargain bullshit. Right. To the fact of like, oh, okay, so you're facing 25 years for a charge, right? And you're innocent. You're like, oh my God, I'm gonna fight this. I'm gonna fight it, right? And the court comes back and they're like, oh, listen, we'll offer you 5. We know you're facing 20, but we're feeling nice. We'll give you 5. You take our deal. You serve your time. Bing, bang, boom, right? Except if you don't take that deal, if you decide to drag this out to jury trial, just know we have a 99.6% conviction rate. And also just letting you know that like through discovery, right? And through our research, we've discovered, our friends over at, Social Security, or your friends over at the IRS, or your friends over here, right? They were taking a look and they might have seen a couple things. And those charges, those charges carry another 20. So just so you know, if you don't take our 5, you could be facing like 40 years at this point, dude. What are you going to do? You got 3 kids, you got a wife, right? Even though you're innocent. So then you take it to jury trial. You're like, F you, I'm not taking your thing. I'm going to stand on the law and I'm going to stand on what's right. Except you go to be like, all right, I want to present A, B, and C. Here's my defense. Totally exonerates me. Let's do this. Oh, well, hold up a second. They've decided that you're not allowed to present that. Period. You're not allowed to present that information. They've decided what we're allowed to present. And yeah, we'll go from there. We'll see how this goes. And then because you dare challenge the system, you get the book thrown at you with their 99.6% conviction rate, even though you are innocent. You have to take the plea deal. And they have completely weaponized that system against the American people. And it's not only political people, right? They have railroaded people in this country with the legal system for years. 4 years. And it did until it started happening, right, in other communities. No one thought, everyone's like, oh no, like it's the American legal system. And thank you, Jesus, for Donald J. Trump, because he proved it didn't matter how much money you had. It didn't matter how much power you had. It didn't matter what your skin color was. The system is broken. And we're the ones who have to demand that it be fixed. Because if you don't stand up and demand it be fixed now, when the system comes after you, because don't sit back and think, oh my God, it couldn't happen to me. No, it could happen to you. Right? And at that point, there might not be anybody left to talk about how the system is broken. Right? So we need to do this now because there is a huge problem with our legal system and how children especially are being railroaded by the legal system.
I think it is so broken, and I think that I think both Allie and Aaron are the ones saying we can't just replace this judge with a new judge. We can't just replace this next DCF officer with another DCF officer. That we do have to demand change, and we do have to demand how these victims are treated, right? Because the goal should be to make them whole again. You take a 13-year-old and their dad just decides he wants to have visitation rights all of a sudden. And before he threatened her life, and there's evidence of bondage pictures. I mean, like that we have. I'm just one person. I don't know how to make the change, but I will do whatever I can on my part because I literally been sick all day. Like I'm just like, how have I not known about this case? I would have been talking about this case clear back in January if I would have known that this was going on, because there's no way that a victim should be put through that kind of help, put on a psychiatric hold because she threatened to harm herself if they sent to her dad's. Oh no, instead of not sending you to your dad's, what we're going to do is we're going to coordinate with DCF, which we know did the same thing with Maya Kowalski. They took her from her mother who was advocating for her, and they kept her away to why? Because they make money from insurance. You put them on a 3-day psych hold, guess who is making a shit ton of money? And I guarantee you there's going to be a bunch of kickbacks. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, so this is really similar to a case that I was following out of Minnesota in like 2020. So this guy has a daughter, right? And the mother was on Instagram yelling that the father was openly like raping the little girl. And the mom, even at the time, had the little girl on video talking about what her dad and his friends were doing to her. Well, this guy ended up being, had money, power. And the little girl got taken away from the mom and given full-time sole custody to the father. Right? Like, this is happening so frequently, right, in our system that I feel like it needs to be tackled at a national level, because there's stories from every single state about children being turned over to child molesters away from parents who are advocating for their safety. Like, something's wrong, guys.
It's the most sickest thing.
Allie, I think Allie wanted to jump in.
Allie, jump in anytime you want. If you do put your hand up, I'm gonna defer to you and not make you wait since you did come in here last minute. So go ahead, sweetie. Then we'll go to Chris.
So I know that she was unexpectedly taken to that psychiatric hold. I was on the phone with Lee when that happened, and as horrifying as it was somewhat of a blessing in disguise. And I say that lightly because she was due at her dad's house, and that gave her 3 to 4 days of breathing time, because I'm trying to remember what was going on, but I think Monday was a holiday, if I recall correctly. And so she had to be in there for 3 days and then had to be returned to custody, I think, on Tuesday. So she was actually able to catch her breath, and they were able to strategize. Lee was on the phone with Dr. Latipo strategizing what to do, and that gave them some time where they knew that Avery was safe. They knew where she was, and she was away from her dad. So I remember that part. There's just so much with the Avery case that I'm just trying to remember. But I do think that there is a place where, even if it's temporary, I think that there's value in considering whether it's human trafficking courts, like a court system, because I think it takes a special kind of judge and special kind of legal representation to really understand human trafficking, sexual assault, rape, all of those charges. It's so much different than any other crime. And when you have these offenders that, like, here's one instance, a guy got charged with 10 counts of trafficking and pled down to 2 counts of disorderly conduct. That was his plea. Like, when you have these attorneys and these judges and these, the prosecutors, everyone that's involved, that don't really understand, because they're being exposed to a variety of crimes, and they don't understand the severity and the length of trauma that this type of crime causes on someone. I think that there's special judges, special prosecutors, special attorneys that should be taking these cases on, and that at some point that we should consider a different, more unique style court with special requirements for these individuals to try some of these cases.
Well, even just the fact that, the original officer who put her in the cycle, which, I guess it is better than going with her dad. They just should have released her to her mother and said it's not safe for her to go to her dad's house. Like to me, that would have been an option. That would have been the best option.
They wouldn't have been able to, because it was court ordered that she was to be handed off to her dad. That's why she lost her cool, understandably, but she wouldn't have been able to go back to her mom. That was the thing. She had to go to her dad. She ended up in that hold. So it was either go to the hold or go back to her dad. There was no third option.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so how that story unfolded, because like I said, I was reading on this today before I finally went to bed for a couple hours. But she was going from Michigan to Florida for their visitation that they did not want to do. Somehow they were intercepted by DCF, right? Met with DCF. They thought, good, there's going to be someone to intervene here. So then they have a green officer, has no idea how to interrogate a victim of rape when their father was a police officer to begin with. So you have someone in uniform, all vested out, interviewing this child. And from everything that I heard from the interview, is this child was like, she's brave. Like she's very brave, and she's kind of advocating for herself. She's like, no, if you send me there, I will kill myself, right? So that's what instigated the psych hold. But the person who was even interrogating her wasn't trained. He wasn't trained in that. He had zero experience in trying to talk to a victim of sexual abuse. And that's where the big, huge problem is. So what you're talking about, Allie, is very, very, very important, because there needs to be some kind of system put in place to where when you're dealing with these things, it's not just some Joe Schmo. Like there needs to be some kind of a task force or something put in place that knows how to specifically deal with these things, because you could trigger, like that moment could have triggered her so hard. to the point where she couldn't recover. And it seems like she's a strong person because she's like, I don't know how. One day when she's older and she can speak to someone, I want to ask her how she was able to be so brave, because from everything I've seen from her is from the time she was 4, she was speaking out to her mother, right? And then speaking out to other people. Even the judge, when she was wanting to see a therapist, and he was trying to ignore her, she's like, I want a real therapist. Like, I need someone to help me. And he was trying to like hem-ha and like, I don't want to listen to you. And then so she said, no, I want to have a real therapist. You're talking about everything but why I came here to talk to you, right? And so there needs to be people in place that actually give a shit about these kids, and that they're trained to do so. Chris, I'm gonna come to you in 1 second, but I'm gonna go to Destiny first, because I know you're patient.
Christian, Sally. Like, because I'm just popped in the space like within the last hour or so. Did something happen to Lee Dundas's daughter? Is that what I'm understanding here?
Let me do a quick recap. So there's this girl who is in Michigan. Mother, father, they split up, right? So the dad ends up with custody, 18 months old, right? The girl's 18 months old. Well, this father takes, because he wanted on his every other weekend, goes to his mom's house. Well, his mom is married to this guy who was put in prison for 2 years for raping a handicapped autistic girl. He was caught red-handed within the act, penis and vagina. Like, he was caught red-handed, admitted to it. He only served 2 years. So this is where they decide to take this 2-year-old or 18-month-old girl to every other weekend. But, you think it would end there. No, there is DNA evidence of the father. So at 4 years old, this girl tells her mother what is going on, that her grandfather and her father had been raping her for years. When they went to the room, there was DNA evidence. There was 6 different semen spots that equivocally tied to the father. And he's a police officer, right? When charges are put in place, he went to Florida. DeSantis extradited him back to Michigan. The judge there then held him without bond. She's never held anyone without bond in her 20 years of being on the bench. Somehow, the prosecuting attorney decides to have a relationship with one of her sex victims, right? So the case gets completely dropped. Like, nothing, no progress or nothing. They had evidence on the phone of C-SPAM of children, young children, more say young, under the age of 8 years of age, in bondage, boys and girls. So there was evidence to hold these people in prison for the rest of their lives. Somehow, whatever, during COVID, whatever, I don't know what the hell happened. This case goes nowhere. They get released. Whoever was the district attorney, whoever was the highest up in that case, orders them to stop downloading the C-SPAM. There's over 10,000 files. I said 10,000. It was an egregious amount of files on the cell phone. She orders them to stop processing the evidence, right? The dad and grandpa are released. The cell phones are then given back to the father, right? So now he has the evidence of all the C-SPAM. They never finished downloading all of the egregious material because maybe there was going to be someone on those cell phones that someone didn't want us to see, right? You know how these cases go. And then all the files were deleted. So now there's no evidence to try these guys on for what happened to this girl between the ages 18 months old and 4 years old, right? And then he goes to Florida. He's now a police officer at a high school, and he sued the mother for custody of this little girl. And yeah, so he was granted visitation. He's still a police officer. This case is still ongoing. So he was granted visitation in February. When the first visit is when she was intercepted by DCF, was put in a psych hold, and that's what the status of the case that I know of currently right now. So, Destiny, do you have anything to add to that?
No, it's horrific. I thought it had something to do with the names in the nest. But thank you for clarifying the story. It's really sad, and I think the answer, by the way, to how the girl got through it all is, when you have no other choice. There's the French saying about that. Vous ne savez jamais à quel point vous êtes fort, davantage fort, et les choses vous causent. You never know how strong you are until strong is the only choice you have. She's a strong girl because she had to be.
Yeah, so Lee Dundas is a lawyer. She advocates for these kids, everything that she does. I understood that she was a lawyer. Allie, she's a lawyer, correct?
Yeah, she's a lawyer out of California.
Okay. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. And I just don't.
Yeah, she was big in advocating when COVID started. That's where I know her from.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah, so anything that has to do with sexual assault, child trafficking, any type of these crimes, she does everything pro bono. So Allie Hopper has been in contact with her. I would love to somehow get in have my contact information shared with her. Like I said, I started making phone calls to her office. I'm not sure if she's going to hear them. The first one, I forgot to give her my phone number, so I had to call back again, go through the spiel. But I just want to make sure that. So this is a call to action space. So up above, Destiny, is all of the information for us to contact all the different people. Apparently, Siobhan Harris is no longer in charge of DCS or DCF. I'm curious, Allie, do you remember? Was she part of the Maya Kowalski case? Because I could have swore I remember her testifying in that trial.
Oof, that's a good question. I think that was going on before I moved to Florida, but I can definitely look at that and see.
I'm pretty sure. Well, I watched the trial from start to finish. I even covered it a couple of days when other people couldn't cover it because they had something going on. But no, that was the same type of thing where you have DCF, you have the hospitals, and you have people working together because DCF is privatized in Florida. So there's a lot of money to be made. So there's a lot of medical kidnapping that takes place through that, taking parents away from their children. They target children that parents can't afford to fight the battle, right? So then the kids are in the system for the rest of their lives. And that girl was abused as well. I'm going to go to Chris, and then I am going to go to Anti-Commie.
Oh, you do still love me.
I do love you. I just know that you're a very patient man. So I just know that you will kindly be patient.
She's working off all them brownie points from hosting the AM After Dark space.
Yeah. I understand. Yeah. She's apparently doing. Anyway, I'm not going to.
You were going to make a funny joke, but you're like, oh, this is a serious topic. If you add levity in all this, please do.
This is the serious issue. And I think that I think that anytime that you have law enforcement involved in anything, that case needs to be segregated, and that a separate law enforcement agency, other than the one that the person works for, needs to be involved in the investigation. I think that the authorities that are, CPS type authorities or whatever they call them, wherever this is, have to be keenly aware of that, because there are plenty of cases that we've seen. There was a famous one in the state of Washington back in the I think it was the late 90s, and the police and the CPS were working hand in glove to steal children from parents. And if it weren't for a brave minister who held his ground and refused to go along with the BS that everybody else was intimidated into going along with, he brought in federal authorities, and the federal authorities went in and they just ran roughshod over the entire situation, and managed to get get children returned to their parents. And, these parents were being thrown in jail, for criminal acts that they did not commit. They did a documentary series on it. It's on Fox Nation, which, you got to pay for, but it's called In the Valley of Sin. And it's really sad. The kind of things that happen when you run afoul from the law and to a profit motive, which is what a lot of this is really based on, is just the money. They could care less about the kids, and certainly don't care at all about justice. And to Jennifer's point, she had many, but I put a post up. I guess it was either yesterday or the day before, with respect to legal reform. And one of the key aspects of this is that they need to reform the rules that have to do with plea arrangements. They have to, the entire system has to be reformed, but the plea system is absolutely number one, because you cannot have an adversarial system where only one group gets to hold all the cards. The biggest issue, for January 6th is that the prosecution violated blatantly, repeatedly, and in the most horrendous fashion, the Brady rule, which would have allowed these people to have access to information that could possibly have gotten them off, and their lack of ability to be able to have access to that, or have their attorneys access that, to be able to present that in a cogent defense, precipitated all these plea arrangements. And on top of that, they went in and they dumped in charges that were completely unrelated in order to create felonies out of trespassing. And to be perfectly honest with you, the entire situation with regard to all these people who were charged with criminal trespass, parading, or whatever it was a nonviolent act, those people were forced into plea agreements because they were being hit with a felony that had to do with a financial crime, had nothing to do with what they were charged with. And generally speaking, most people that are charged with trespassing on federal property, in a protest, they kind of go free because that's covered under the First Amendment. Okay, and last we checked, federal property belongs to the citizens of the United States. It's not the sole purview of the federal government. Another area where you run into, another serious problem is that if you don't get to trial, okay, or if you do get to trial, and you have a situation where you're denied being able to enter evidence into court, which would result in a conviction. You have that is grounds for an appeal, but you have to be able to pay for the appeal. So they have made this process ridiculously onerous and expensive, and those fees are not falling on the government; they're falling on you. And if the government is going to charge you and not allow you to use evidence to defend yourself, I believe that prosecutorial misconduct should result in an award of legal fees from the office that's doing the prosecutorial misconduct. So, if you're going to be a prosecutor and you're going to go out of your way to try to destroy somebody's life for whatever political reason that you've been charged with as part of your job, then you should carry the burden and the risk of losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fee reimbursements for not following the law yourself. And I think that would clean up a lot of this problem. Is that you get these it's not about justice when you've got a 99% conviction rate. It's about money and power. That's all it's about. Because
But
justice.
you've just outlined the whole issue with the administrative courts. Like this is the problem. Brady violations don't apply in administrative court proceedings because it's specific. Brady is specific to criminal cases, criminal courts. So any kind of holding of exculpatory evidence, right, that doesn't apply in a family court proceeding, which is not held in a court of law. Like, this is a fundamental problem with any type of taking that occurs within an administrative procedure. This is such a serious issue. I wish people understood the difference between a constitutional or the constitutional law versus administrative law. And I think you're hitting it on the head pretty well.
And to your point, Bree, I mean, you get back to another problem is if you're in an administrative law court, okay, you have the right to appeal that to an Article 3 court, okay, but most of this stuff is happening on the state level. These are not federal cases, and so the state appellate process is much different than the federal appellate process, because you've got 50 different flavors of how that happens. The situation that the president finds himself in New York is evidence to that, because they didn't really, with the exception of this bizarre case with Bragg in Manhattan, he didn't get charged with anything that was criminal. He got charged with a whole bunch of civil garbage that was designed to milk his bank account. And there was the first case that he was declared guilty before the trial started, and they had already figured out how much money they wanted to take. I mean, it was a complete fallacy, and it turned the justice system into a joke. But this case that you're talking about now, anybody who is in a situation of public trust, like a police officer, has to be held to a higher standard. And you cannot just excuse the fact that he's a police officer, for lack of you doing your due diligence to determine whether or not this person is qualified to have visitation rights or whatever. Anytime that you have somebody who is in the system, that, if let's say you're in Escambia County, Florida, okay, I would say that if you had this situation there, you would need to move over to maybe not even the adjacent county, but I mean, you could go to Pinellas County, you could go to, any other jurisdiction, and have those people do the investigation, so that the money machine and the corruption is not, not kept together. And go ahead.
Chris, can I just ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how much of all of this, right, is left up at the end of the day, right, when push comes to shove, right? How much of it is left up to the quote discretion of the court, right, or discretion of the judge or discretion of the DA, right? Like, it's almost, I mean, obviously, like, this was written at a time where, like, maybe they thought of this and maybe we're just not thinking of, like, the right thing to, like, remedy the situation, right? But, like, we kind of find ourselves in a bit of a conundrum here. And, like, when you have stuff left up to the discretion of the court, but the court has been bought and paid for by George Soros, right? Like, what are you supposed to do in that instance?
Well, in the federal level, you've got appellate processes pretty clear, and
yeah, but see, this is what pisses me off. Okay, you got the appellate process, right? All right, you raise it to the Supreme Court. How the hell are all these freaking illegal aliens getting their shit heard by the Supreme Court, yet you have other people who have been waiting for their Supreme Court cases as American citizens to be heard, to be finalized, to be adjudicated by the Supreme Court? So, like, I just feel like something in our system is being exploited by somebody. And, like, we need to do something about it now, because there's no way the Supreme Court, how many illegal immigration cases have we heard come out of the Supreme Court in the last couple weeks?
Probably been
how the hell did that happen?
There's probably been a half a dozen since Donald Trump took office that have been submitted. How many have been heard? Probably 2 or 3.
Okay, well, that's 2 or 3 more than any American citizen.
Well, I'm not going to play devil's advocate here, but the federal government has certain privileges as to what they're allowed to submit to the court and what the court will take, as opposed to John Q. Public, who has to present the case, and then it goes to a conference committee and they decide whether they're going to take it or not. And then the grounds that they're going to take it, a lot of the times, has to do with, is there previous precedents? Is there a difference between the circuits? Is there a specific issue that we want to look at in a very narrow way to try to resolve this problem? Or is this going to be something that's going to have an overarching reach? And, you know, how do we approach it? And
I mean, how do we grease the right wheels like George Soros? Right? Do we need like 15 milli? Is that the going rate to buy a Supreme Court justice?
What you need to do is you do what they do, is you put it into the public eye, and make them suffer.
Yeah, but honestly, like, I mean, you're right? But like John Roberts, well, his relationship with George Soros has been exposed multiple times. Don't ask me how I know, right? And then you have his relationship with Norm Eisen come out too. So when we see George Soros in a video from 2019 saying, "Oh, don't worry about John Roberts, like, he's my boy," right? My boy's in check.
So
how exactly did George Soros get to the Supreme Court? Or is Norm Eisen the middleman greasing the skids of his good friend John Roberts for his fellow board member George Soros from the Open Societies Foundation?
I think a lot of times is what you're going to find is that people like John Roberts are out for John Roberts, and they really don't give a shit about George Soros or Norm Eisen.
Yeah, but like, shouldn't we as citizens be like up in arms when you have a Supreme Court who is putting illegal immigrants above American citizens, ruling against American citizens while also having open relationships with people like George Soros and Norm Eisen.
The answer that you're going to get, which is the answer that you don't want, because I know how you feel about this vehemently.
Oh, let me guess. We got to go to Congress, guys.
Is that Congress?
You sound just like Aaron Stevenson. He's like, you guys have got to stop saying you need to write your congressman, right? I mean, we do for certain situations.
You need to submit legislation the same way as the lobbyists do.
Okay, well, guess what? I'd like to let everybody in the room know that America Mission is doing a rebrand. And I think y'all are going to be happy with the way that we're answering the statement. Oh, well, it's Congress. Just
Can I
wait.
put it in the
It's coming
hopper,
for you.
please? Please, that's my
Peacefully.
dream.
I like the rebrand, right? Because it's write your Congress, write your Congress. No, we have to start fostering. We've got to start focusing on. Everyone's always focused 4 years from now, 2 years from now. Like there's got to be like a split, right?
Exactly, Sally. That's literally what I said in the space the other day, right? We are shooting ourselves in the foot, okay? Because we work our freaking asses off to get normal, everyday Joe Blow elected to Congress, okay? But then, on the same token, we sit here and we talk about what an utter cesspool Washington, D.C. is, and how there's frequent cocaine and hooker parties, and lobbyists be taking the congressmen out to dinner and bribing them with $100 bottles
They're
of wine.
writing their legislation for
They
them.
got a cheap price.
The Congress doesn't do shit.
But hold on, Chris, can I just finish my point real quick? Right? So, we work so hard to get these people in, and then we just turn them over to the wolves in Congress and wonder why they're getting bought up by lobbyists when we are then totally not even paying attention to Congress anymore. We're too busy working for a day that's 2 and 4 years out, that anything we do GOTV right now isn't really going to fucking matter, if we're being honest. Okay? If we're being real honest, and I'm not towing the fucking political line here, right? So we're being psyoped into believing that we constantly have to be working on the next best thing while not sitting at the Congress with the people we get elected to make sure they're actually, sitting there and doing what they're supposed to be doing. And then we wouldn't have to be little dog chihuahuas, right? And be like, oh my God, we're going to primary you, Mr. Congressman. We're coming for you.
You're
right?
exactly right. And you know what the good thing is that every one of these people have local congressional offices that you can go to. Everybody has the ability.
Yes, but if they know who we are coming, they will not see us. I am case in point, number one. I can't get into anyone because they all know me, and they know that I come with straight flames, and they don't want to address it.
But if you have 50 people with you, Savvy, then they're not going to be able to.
Well, then they're going to arrest me and call me an insurrectionist. I swear to God, that's the way.
No, she's then taking over
right.
the office.
And that's exactly how the Georgia, that's how it works under the Gold Dome.
Your sidewalk is still public property, so they can't. If people are showing up out in front of their office,
but they don't care about that. They're not going to listen. I can tell you right now that doesn't work.
We need to.
They look at that as a nuisance here. They don't. You literally have to schedule meetings, get in, and have an adult professional discussion with them for you to be heard. But someone like me, it doesn't work. And if I were to, because I've done the whole things at the Capitol before. That's where I really wet my feet in the activist pool. But that is just viewed as a nuisance, and it will literally turn them off to anything in the future.
Have you seen the state capitol building in Wisconsin?
Nah, not lately.
Well, it's been on numerous occasions.
But that's Wisconsin. That's not Georgia.
I understand.
We're totally different animals.
But they use they people invaded that Capitol and held it hostage until they got the attention of the people that they wanted.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that because they tend to arrest those of us that do that here in Georgia. And I'd really like to not start my life of crime at 43.
You're not a criminal.
Right. Well, you know what I'm
Honestly,
saying.
fear
You know what
being-
I'm saying. Like,
I
I'd rather
understand.
not be arrested at 43 because that's not the way that.
That's a bad example for your
Right.
child. Yeah, so I understand.
Exactly.
So you let other people do that for you.
Nope. Nope. I sure don't. I do not. No.
We are being freaking psyoped by the consultants, okay? Because the only people who benefit, okay, from doing all of this bullshit that doesn't really matter come freaking 2 years later when still nobody, okay, if you've been working for 2 freaking years on somebody's election, how the hell does still nobody know who the hell they are? Right? Like, there is something, and I'm seeing now that I've seen, like I've noted it. I can't unsee it, and now I'm seeing how like this is all a setup, right? To get us concentrated. Next best thing, 2 and 4 years out, and then when we get up in like a month before the election, right? They start going, oh guys,
that's when they need
nothing
us.
really matters until like 48 hours before the election.
Yeah.
Anyways, what are you doing? Okay, so then they hit you with that side.
Or it's you're a piece of shit until we need you, and then we're going to call you because then we need you because you're effective.
But it's really
That's what I get.
And then we can't figure out why our congressmen are being freaking bought and paid for is because like we wouldn't have to seriously worry about all this shit, half of it, right? Because if our people were doing well in Congress and doing their jobs, people would want them reelected.
So, gosh, it's not really every 2 or every 4 years, right? Because it's 1 year before we've got to start campaigning, right? So people are on the campaign trail and they're not getting shit done. Like there has to be a better way for we the people to get things done, not just at a national level, but at a local level. Like I'm telling you, this sex trafficking thing is out of control. Go ahead.
What do you think about limiting campaigns to 90 days, and then that way you don't have this continuous, ongoing cycle?
Yeah, but how are they supposed to feed their ego?
They're supposed to do,
or how are we supposed to reach the people? I mean,
they're supposed to do their job and not take off, ridiculous amounts of time. They come in January, for January 3rd or 4th or 6th or whatever it is. They get organized. Then they go on break until the State of the Union. Then after that, they do the budget, and then they go on break for Easter. And then they leave, and then then they come back, and then they go on break for a short time at 4th of July and take the entire month of August off, and wonder why their panties are in a bunch because they haven't gotten all the appropriations bills passed by September 30th.
Well, so
well, Savvy, to answer your question, like how would we reach our people, right? Remember the Restrict Act. Remember the Digital Platform Commissions Act, right? The way we reach our people for the election is by getting them involved in the freaking congressional process, by having them make the phone calls, by having them write the letters, by having them come into spaces, and then we know who's who and what's what, right? And then they even know who their congressperson is.
I agree with you on that, but only 10% of adult Americans use this platform. 10%, that's not a lot. So that's a lot of work I'm just saying, I do it all the time. Right. This is not new to anyone, I don't think, even in the speaker panel. However, getting certain people on this platform or to make calls or whatever, that takes a force. I had 257 Trump force captains, and they worked with me for 9 months, and we couldn't reach everyone in Gwinnett because it's so big. So it's just, I get you. And I agree with you, Jen. I really do. This whole thing is frustrating, especially when it comes to the case that Sally is referencing, because
what about
there
this,
needs to
though?
be major eyes on this, and I'm trying to figure out ways to make that happen.
But yeah, there needs to be eyes on this case. But real quick, just real quick, and I'll make mine short. But they're taking his salary. Like, their salary is not a poor salary. Why not be like the president? If you're going to be the president of the United States, you do your job full time, day in, day out. You're passing bills. You're moving the needle. These other people, they have other businesses, they have other jobs, they have other things that they're doing. So if you're going to run for office and you're going to collect a salary, you know what? You're going to have to step away from your business and have someone else run it. That is a sacrifice you'll have to make if you want to be public service, because it used to be public service. They didn't have this huge ass salary, so having a second job was okay. So if they're going to have this, like, I'm like, shit, I should run for my local office. I could make like 160 a year. Gosh, and I wouldn't even really have to do that much. Like, that's where I'm at with this. That's a thought, but that's just a thought. Go ahead, Jen.
So, Savvy, and this sounds terrible, right? But like, I'm just gonna say how I feel, because I'm freaking sick of it, right? I feel so many times, right? We have been told that you need large groups of people to accomplish simple tasks, right? And we have to be on this constant like thing to get everybody in, and we're constantly like trying to go after everybody, right? And I feel like we're missing some of the most tangible things, and we don't. But what we proved with the Restrict Act, what we proved with the speaker's race, right, and what we realized is we don't need that many phone calls to Congress to have them totally melt their shit, right? And so many times we're saying, oh, just go out and call your congressperson. And I think we need to narrow our focus, right? Because not every bill, not everything we're working on involves all of Congress. And I think that we need to prioritize and better explain who's involved, what's involved, and then and have a priority list, right, of certain Congress members that we are going to target in order to get specific tasks accomplished and not overwhelm. Like, I feel like in many cases, people are being overwhelmed and they're like, well, I don't even know where to start, right? And this is something I'm kind of like, I didn't know I'd be doing this, but I'm kind of explaining the new American mission, right? We need to prioritize for people what bills are happening, who's doing the bills, where we need the calls to go, where we need the spaces to focus, right? And we need to codify down for people a simpler way of getting involved, and also prioritizing, right? The prioritizing Donald Trump's executive orders and his agenda that Congress needs to bring forward immediately. Okay? And these Congress people are pulling the wool over people's eyes, because they are. So Donald Trump will be like, oh, okay, like, I want this done. So you have ex-congressmen stand up and go, oh, well, Donald Trump already got the bill written, like trying to be like a brown-nosed kiss ass, right? Except, bro, how'd you get that bill written? Should we go through that process? Because if I'm a guessing woman, I guess that you wrote an email and you said, down to the freaking swamp creatures in the basement. Okay. And if you don't know what the basement is, you need to find out. Okay. That's where the bills get written. Your congressperson, they don't write their own bills. Okay. The basement does it. You send an email. I need this, XYZ. Please get me the bill. And the bill appears in the email box. Poof, like magic. And then they do the monumental task, guys, of hitting the forward button and forwarding it to the right committee or forwarding it to the next higher up. Oh, well, I did my job. See, I tried to get Donald Trump's bill, passed. I tried to get Donald Trump's thing through committee, but no one ever got back to me. I wrote the bill. I did my job, except you never followed up. You didn't actually fight. You did the bare minimum in order to get by so you can hang on to the coattails of this administration when they're successful. And it sucks.
I actually think that that's the right approach because like I said, I had a liberal client. Didn't realize she was as liberal as she was, but just me voting for Donald Trump and us having discussions about stuff with facts and reality, I lost a friend over that, right? So focusing on the people that we can reach, right? Because you can't reach every single person. Like, why am I writing Mike Lee about something going on in Florida? That's the wrong person to be contacting. It's the wrong person to be advocating to, right? So we need to have a list of people. I mean, we have 100 people in this space. And right now, if 100 people contacted Ron DeSantis, contacted everyone on this list right now, that's 100 people saying, hey, this is bullshit. That's better than the 0 that were there yesterday. But finding targeted, important things where we actually don't just get on this space, but we actually get on that damn computer and send off some emails, make some phone calls. What, it could take you a half hour out of your day? But I think that we are trying to, the whole Big Tent theory is populist, is liberal. We've got to get back to being focused. That's just how I feel about it. I might be wrong, but that's how I see it. Chris, you're unmuted. I don't know if you wanted to speak, but Miss Lou, go ahead, Miss Lou.
Oh, you guys got me on fire. Jen, Savvy, Sally, what a team. Speaking of specific, I was on the phone today to Grassley's office about Ed Martin, because you talk about specific and hitting definite things. Grassley has to get it. His deadline is tonight to get Ed into the hearing so he can be confirmed, because if he fails tonight, then they won't be working on for a confirmation by next Thursday. Tonight is the deadline. And they've got to do it, because if they fail, then Judge Boasberg could step in even, or Chuck Schumer. All these guys could step in with their ideas about who should be U.S. attorney for D.C. So Grassley's office, and I called a couple in the Senate Judiciary. So that's all I can think of. But I think you guys are right. Things have to be very targeted and very specific, and so that we know exactly what's doing. Now, Mike Davis has a good website for stuff, article3project.org, and he has actionable stuff on the page where you can do emails and make calls about very specific things. And I think that's where we get crazy, is we fan out and try and get, to your point, you're not going to get somebody, in DC or whatever when it's a Florida issue. So, yeah, I'm in Florida, so I'll definitely, make some calls to DeSantis's office and stuff. So, I just want to thank you guys, because it's so frustrating. And when you were talking earlier about the Soros idea and what they're all doing and how corrupt DC is, bear in mind, and this frosted me when I found out, we taxpayers are paying for a gigantic slush fund to protect these guys when they get involved in their honeypots. Legal funds that are paid off, we pay them when they get into all their little sexcapades. Anybody in Congress and the Senate, we pay it. So bear in mind. Thanks. Have a great night, and thanks for the mic.
Hey, Miss Lou, you're from Florida. Up above, I have action items for a case in Florida. If you go through the purple pill, because our first space crashed, there's a lot of information on this case. It is about rape of a child. Father now is in Jacksonville, Florida, working as a police officer at a high school. It's a longer story. I don't want to rehash it. I probably rehashed it like 4 times. But the article, all the information is down in the purple pill.
Is it also on your page, Sally? If I missed the purple pill, is it on your page?
I haven't posted to my page yet all this information. It is up above in the Jumbotron right now.
Okay.
The calls to action, right? For
But what I like about you putting it on your page is I can repost it to myself.
Well, it's up in the Jumbotron.
Okay.
Do you know what, Miss Lou? I'll just DM you the link directly.
Okay.
To the information that I have to the article. Just like this was a last minute
Is this guy still, I read a little bit about the case. Is this guy still an active police officer?
Yes, he's an active police officer.
Jesus.
His daughter of 13
Yeah, no,
years.
I read about the case.
Wait, Miss Lou, he's an active police officer in a high school.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So that just adds another layer.
Oh, my neighbor down the street was a church pastor, and they just found him he was teaching piano lessons, and now he's been charged with sex with a 13-year-old. So it's just down the street. Nice pedophile, just has a lovely wife, 2 young children. It's enough to make you sick. It's just craziness. All right, I'll check it out. Thank you guys so much.
But since you're good at advocating and doing your emails, that this is a call to action for people in Florida. This guy wants visitation with his daughter. Well, he was granted visitation with his daughter. The case is corrupt. It is all, when I send you the DM and you read all the way through that case, it is the Lee, sorry, I'm struggling here. Lee has it's very well documented on her website. They are the purple pill, but I'll DM it to you. But this is a call to action. Like, this guy should not have visitation rights with his daughter. I don't care. This guy should be in prison for whatever reason. And Michigan effed up the case, right? They got rid of all the evidence, gave the cell phone back to dad. So, but I do want to shift gears back to Ed Martin, because we haven't talked about this space. If tonight there is a deadline, I want to make sure that he does not fall through the cracks, because this was a dual effort on both of these action items. So I don't know a whole bunch about Ed Martin, so they're real savvy. Jennifer, Alfred, someone's got this.
Hey, Miss Lou, is there any way you could give us a rundown of like Ed's background?
She's multi. No, she's going to be in a DM or she's messaging something. I just know how she is. Miss Lou, if you're there, can you give us a rundown of Ed Martin? All right, crickets.
Okay, here you go. He served as chairman of the Missouri Republican Party. Let's see, his tenure was controversial, with criticism over his conservative stance and past actions, including something with Missouri taxpayers. He ran an unsuccessful as Republican nominee for Missouri's 3rd congressional district in 2010. He lost to a Democrat. Let's see, president.
So you guys don't like him. You guys don't want him.
What?
You guys don't want him confirmed then?
Why?
Oh, I thought you said
we're doing a campaign to get him.
No, we're trying to give people his background. I know I couldn't remember his exact title, but I want to say he was co-chairs of Eagle Forum with Phyllis Schlafly for like 30 years.
Yes, he was. Am I still on? Yeah, he was. He is president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, a splinter group of Eagle Forum. Served on the 2024 RNC platform committee. He has a legal career. He defended January 6th Capitol defendants, was involved with Stop the Steal movement, calling the 2020 election Russian interference. Let's see, interim U.S. attorney role. That he was appointed that January 20th, 2025. Let's see. Firing and demoting prosecutors, dismissed or resigned prosecutors involved in J6 cases. Promoting backlash from former federal prosecutors on the Democratic side. Launch probes into Trump's political opponents, Biden's pardons, and institutions like Wikipedia, the Medical Journal, and has been raising concerns about the weaponizing of the DOJ. Let's see, support for Joe. She's a big.
So Savvy, he's strong, is what you guys are saying. He's strong.
He's tough.
The only reason I jumped on it is I knew the deadline was tonight, and Bannon was saying, make your calls, get this guy in. Got to get him in. Grassley has to get him in tonight is the deadline for his consideration.
I want to say he was also part of Tea Party Patriots.
Yes, he was, but he was definitely part of the Tea Party. I remember them saying that. So awesome. Yep. I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Let's just Lou, don't disappear, because I re-summarize and somehow you've disappeared. So this space was a dual effort. I wanted to do a call to action for this girl with her dad, and the other part of it was Ed Martin and trying to get him nominated, to get his nomination pushed through. We were shifting directions from the girl to Ed Martin because there's a deadline tonight. And so I wanted to shift the focus of this space to Ed Martin. And so, yeah, you stepped away when I was doing that. So guys, please.
Well, and I was trying to give his background, but I obviously didn't have it in front of me, and I didn't want to butcher it in the middle of his space. So I was like trying to be like, please someone help and jump in here. Like I kind of know
And then I saved
but
the day.
I don't have the right.
No, you did good, and people will also love.
Hold on, Miss Lou. Hold on, just real quick. I'm trying to reset the space, guys. I want you to go down to the purple pill. Please repost this space. Quote post this space. Let's get people in here. Like when we do these call to actions, we need people involved. Okay, now continue, Miss Lou.
No, I was just going to repost. I posted once. I'm going to repost. I just want to say that, yeah, tonight's the deadline for that. You'll give me the stuff for the case in Florida, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else pressing. I think that's it. We just got to get on this. And you did fine, Jen, giving his background, because I do want to say people will find his strength about protecting J6 who've been prosecuted. That is very, very strong right now. People are really still.
Well, and I think that's what they're holding his like nomination up over, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Right? Is the fact of his defense of the January 6th.
Well, yeah. And he's a good Catholic, so that's another reason to support him.
Oh, had to bring the Catholics into it, didn't we?
Well, it's said that he lived in Rome for a month where he occasionally struck up small talk with Pope John Paul II.
Okay, he knows JP too. Cool. I like him. He's my favorite pope.
The previous pope?
No, that was
John Paul II.
Two popes ago.
Two popes. Because you had John Paul II.
Didn't he come in like in 58 or something? Or is that the wrong one? I'm still learning.
No, I think it was.
Thank
58.
you. Look at me go. What's up, Catholics?
Because my grandma, I could be wrong about that, but my grandma, so my mom's whole family, my mom went to 12 years of Catholic school. Like my family's devout Catholics on my mom's side. So like I grew up with all this like freaking photos of John Paul II, like all over the house, you know.
So what do you guys think about the new pope? I heard meet the new pope, same as the old pope. I heard he's very...
Okay, wait, hold on. We're focusing.
1978.
Okay, who got us derailed? Chris?
I was close
enough. This space is a call to action space for Ed Martin.
It was probably me, but I also brought it back on the rails, so I'm pretty sure that cancels everything out.
Chris was going to continue that conversation. We're going back to Ed Martin.
Oh, Chris was going to continue the conversation about the Pope. I'm shocked.
It was about Ed Martin having a conversation with the Pope. It wasn't focused on the Catholic Church. He's a good Catholic. He's a good guy. Yeah, he has a firm moral background. And, I mean, what can you say? The guy's a good guy.
Well, that's why I wanted to hold this space. I saw all the work that Data Republican was doing last night in trying to organize an effort for Ed Martin. So I knew we were going to be having a space today. So I joined that effort. So that's how this
Speaking of which, for Data Republican and the Purple Pill, she had 4 target phone numbers. And I put that in the Purple Pill and I started it with the target number 4. And each one been like target number 4 is to call John Thune. Target number 3, call John Corrin. Target number 2, call Bill Cassidy. And then target number 1 was Tom Tillis. And all the phone numbers are in those posts. So you just need to go down the Purple Pill. Because I don't want to put them all up in the nest, because then the space will screw up with too many posts in the nest. Okay.
No, leave it as few because we don't want to mess the space up. And like, I think this is good, right? Giving direct people who are actually going to make a difference in this situation.
Yeah, and Adam Schiff is guilty of putting a hold on this nomination. So wouldn't hurt to harass him a little bit. I watched him engage with Mr. Martin, and he basically accused him of having conflicts of interest because he was involved in defending Donald Trump. And Martin told him flat out, if there's a conflict, we'll address, a conflict when it comes up. But, I'm not just going to tell you I'm going to recuse myself from some broad amount of job duties just because I was, defended the president of the United States. And of all the people who are attorneys on Capitol Hill, who are officers of the court and who have a responsibility to have integrity, Adam Schiff, who is perhaps this country's most prolific liar ever in politics, has no business questioning the integrity of anybody else because he is just a complete POS. Clean that up because it's before the prime time.
If anyone wants to grab a mic, please just request, we'll bring you up. I appreciate everyone being here. Go ahead. Patriot. You know what? Patriot actually closed his space for me. And I said, would you please bring your people over here? We have 2 important calls to action. So I am going to come to you and say thank you. Like, that's how you know when people are really in this fight and when they just want numbers. So thank you for being here.
All right, you're welcome. Yeah, no, I did big space earlier and then it crashed and then I made like a 15-minute space or whatever it was. And yeah, I'm here to support you, Sally. Of course.
Did you have anything more that you wanted to add about Ed Martin or what's going on?
I'm not sure who Ed Martin is. I'm sorry.
All right, we're going to have Real Savvy. She's got her hand up. She's going to explain who Ed Martin is because now we all know who he is.
Ed Martin, yes. And after this, I do have to make dinner for myself and the mini. For Cinco de Porto Day, we're having a steak with asparagus, and we're both having virgin margaritas. So yay! But then I have I DM'd you, Sally. So check that. So yes,
no worries, sweetie.
All right. So back to Ed Martin. Let's see. Oh, well, this is great. He was accused of ghostwriting attacks against judges in 2016. That's fine. No, he seems like he's a patriot. That is all. I mean, everything that we advocate for on our platforms or even with American Mission or anyone within our sphere, he does just that, if I can put it plain and simple.
I can jump in there a little bit on Ed Martin.
Please do, Alpha, please do.
From the realm of tinfoil hat land becoming more and more real, one of the reasons they're opposing this man's confirmation is DC, especially when it comes to federal grand juries. DC is the heart of the deep state. Like that, if you confirm Ed Martin, then you just infiltrated the deep state's like strongest hold when it comes to the grand juries. And why this is important? Because the long-term style investigations, like the RICO style investigations, are going to require a U.S. attorney that's confirmed and has the ability to go the distance. So when we talk about wanting the real accountability with things, for the architects of Crossfire Hurricane, this is the man that we need to be confirmed to go the distance to do that. When you want to talk about dismantling the alliances between the government and the cartel, this is the man that's going to facilitate that. They absolutely fear this man because they know that the long-term stuff is what he's going to start doing once that confirmation's there. And just to remind everybody, surrounding the Senate confirmation with Pete Hegseth, they drew that to a tie. and it was Vice President Vance that broke that tie and affirmed Pete Hegseth. So I imagine right now everybody's looking, what are the minimum numbers each side needs, or how are they going to get there to get that tie? And I know Engelman, Mike posted, quite a few people posted, the guys that are standing in the way, or we can't say standing in the way, but the ones that are at least holding out on where their position is with Ed Martin's confirmation. And I know as of about 2 hours ago, it was still Tillis, Collins, McConnell, Murkowski, and I'm missing two. There's two other ones that I know of. So there was 6 Republicans as far as I was aware of. But it was Tillins, Collins, McConnell, Murkowski, and if anybody knows the other two. But that Ed Martin is he is the kick to the nuts to the deep state if he's confirmed.
So we need him confirmed. And so this was the call to action. All the information is put up top it's in the purple pill, courtesy of Kelly, of all the people that we need to be calling and contacting to push this confirmation through. We do need to put an end to the deep state. So while you guys are multitasking on this space, let's get you guys making some phone calls. I know probably most of you are on your phone. We got to figure out how to have 2 devices where we can make phone calls.
Sally, just so people can comprehend how hard they're fighting it, because it's not getting the media attention that the Supreme Court justices got. If you guys remember how hard they fought the confirmation surrounding Kavanaugh, Barrett, Gorsuch, if you remember that, and everybody's like, man, this is hard because the media attention was behind it. They're fighting Martin's confirmation harder than they did for Kavanaugh, Barrett, and Gorsuch. It's just not getting the media attention like it did back then. But that's how much they fear this man.
So they don't even want to put his information out there because they don't want us talking about it and doing anything about it, is kind of what I'm hearing.
Yeah. So Alpha, let me ask you this. On the nominations you just talked about, didn't they have a trespassing problem for those and a protest problem for those? Where nobody got arrested or nobody got prosecuted if they did get arrested?
I know during Kavanaugh's they did. I don't remember if Barrett or Gorsuch did, but I do know there was some issues with the people that went in there to fake protests.
Yeah, Kavanaugh had all sorts of issues when they accused him incorrectly of being involved in some bad stuff. And the hypocrisy of these people, because of, well, it's okay if Democrats protest and we could just let them go and not bother prosecuting them. But God forbid that MAGA people or conservative people show up at the U.S. Capitol, and for this guy's sin to be a champion of justice and morality and fairness against a backdrop of people who do insider trading, do all sorts of other things that none of us could ever get away with, and being devout liars. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
So I'm going to hold on. Are you still speaking, Chris? I'm sorry if you are. I am. Can we please mute your mic for just 1 second, please? Because I do have both their hand. Teddy Swim, I added you as a speaker. I'm taking a chance on you. You've only got 24 followers. You've come into several of my spaces and requested a mic. So I'm going to give you a chance. You prove me wrong, and then I won't again. Go ahead, Miss. Chris, were you trying to speak before I cut in? Because I couldn't tell.
No. I was done. I was just,
it was one of us. It was me, Sally. I was trying to tell Alpha, Chelsea just doxed Santino's daughter, bro. So keep an eye on that shit, please.
What the heck?
If you can send that information to my DMs, that way I could see what I can do as fast as I can do it.
Right.
Okay.
I'll send you. I'll let go.
These people need to stop, guys. I want to stay focused on this call to action, but that is important. Don't dox people. You guys have no clue, especially if you're a female. You have no clue how unnerving that is, and if that's the goal, there's something seriously wrong with you. There's some people who want to be anonymous, and I don't even know if she's even on this platform. You guys need to stop with that. Anyway, go ahead, Miss Lou. Then we're going to go through the hands. And thank you, Pepe, for letting Alpha know.
Hey, I was just making all the calls that they've suggested for us to make, Laura Logan and all the lists you guys have put in the purple pill. I'm making them through Bill Blaster because all I got to do is type in a name and hit the button. It takes me directly into their office. I'm not hitting anybody live because a lot of the staffers leave at 5:30, but you can leave a message. And a lot of them should be there tonight because there is a vote tonight. So I don't know whether it's an on the floor vote or how they can do it, off the floor. I don't know. I think that's horrible. I think they ought to be voting in person on the floor so we can see who voted for what. So anyway, but that's it. That you can leave all the messages. The only one I haven't called yet is McConnell because that's such a losing proposition, but I'm going to do it anyway. But thank you guys for all the information because I'd really only contacted Grassley and a couple others. And these, like the rhinos like Susan Collins, I mean, you got to harass her anyway. Every now and then she'll do a good one, but another one that we have to get out. But thanks again, guys.
Well, she's not on that list. Did she flip?
Yeah, she is on a list. She's on a list for that was put out by no surprise, Nancy through American Mission. So she's on a list. She's in the Senate. So
yeah.
Well, Alpha just said that she was a holdout just a minute ago.
She's a holdover?
Yeah, whoever you were, Murkowski?
I looked up the message. So these are the names: Tom Tillis, Bill Cassidy, Susan Collins, John Curtis, Mitch McConnell, Lisa Murkowski, and Roger Whittaker. And that's as of 2 hours ago.
Roger
Whittaker, and what was the one right before Whittaker?
Lisa Murkowski, Arkansas.
Of course. All right, I got those two to call then. Let me get on it.
Is there a post somewhere with those names on it? Because what I've been using is Data Republican, and I've got 4.
It's under Mike Eagleman's post. His handle's Real Hickory.
Okay, thank you.
How much luck you think I'm gonna have with Jordan? I know I ain't got to worry about Moreno, but what about Jordan?
You're speaking a foreign language to me, so either Jennifer or Alpha is going to have to answer that, or someone else more intelligent on this space.
This is the Senate, Pepe, not the House.
Okay, copy.
Guys, Miss Lou is coming through once again. Do you guys see how she's in this space? She goes and makes some phone calls, and then she's right back to update us that she's actually made some phone calls. This is a very, very important nomination. And when Alpha's saying that this is a way to cut off the deep state, he's serious. And we have to do our part. So if anyone wants to put their hand up, anyone wants to talk, we can divert this conversation a little bit if you guys want to. I don't know if anyone has anything important to add to this conversation. I'm not used to everyone being so quiet on my stage. Is this like an afternoon thing, or is this the conversation's died and it's time to?
Hello, everybody. Hello. I request the mic because I want information, but I already found it. It's everything. I'm sorry. It's every phone, every senator and representative. So never mind. I got everything too, and I'm gonna share it on Facebook and everywhere. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, and I just got a DM from Miss Carmen that she is currently making phone calls. She is doing her duty, so that is why she's being quiet. So, thank you, everyone. Like this is what we are trying to do here. So, did you have any numbers that you still need AQ, or do you have everything that you need, sweetie?
Yeah, I have everything, and because you name my Senator Tilly, so I'm gonna call him. Can I call all the Congress people, or just my senator directives. Can I?
Do you know what the jumbotron is? I don't know if you do, but up above, if you scroll all the way to the top, is the call now the top 4. So you have John Thune, Bill Cassidy, John Cornyn, and Tom Tillis.
Yeah, I have the picture, but can I call?
Yeah, you can call
if
them.
I don't live over there.
Yeah, leave a message for them.
Okay. Thank you. I thought yes, North Carolina, where I live, so I have right to call everybody. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Carmen, I think you could have the right to call everyone, whether they take you serious or not. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Did you have something to say, Carmen?
Excuse me?
Sorry, Carmen accidentally came off of mic. That's why. I thought maybe she said the yeah. No, call everyone. The worst case scenario is they're not going to answer the phone, but still leave them a message. Tell them that you want them to get off their ass, and don't say get off their ass, but tell them to nominate or confirm Ed Martin. Call. Worst thing they do is don't act on it. Go ahead, Patriot, or go ahead, Kelly, first.
Yeah, but real quick, I just want to let you know I did find Engelman's List, that post, so that is in a purple pill now, and it's a nice poster with all the numbers, and I also put it up in the Jumbotron. I think it's going to be up there. So there you go.
If you guys are not following Kelly, she has been the saver of this space today, putting all the important information up above for our call to action. So I do, guys, make sure you're following her. Turn on notifications for Jen and Alpha and Chris and anyone a part of American Mission, because they do call to action spaces. They do fun spaces too. We have the AM After Dark, which is Chris's favorite. But go ahead, Patriot.
Yeah, I was going to say, if I had another phone on me, I'd definitely mute my mic here and call my representatives and stuff, because we gotta keep fighting. We are the people.
All we can do is put our best effort forward and keep working together. I've never met a group of people that actually tries to get stuff done instead of just, I want to say it, talking smoke out of your ass and not talking about issues that are actually important. I don't even want to know how many spaces are about drama today. I even looked, right? So this is everyone that's in here right now, you're where you're supposed to be. This is where the action takes place. So I'm going to say thank you 1,000 times just because I am that grateful. Go ahead, Miss Lou.
Okay, got everybody on your list, and I'll attack again in the morning when the staffers are in there to see how they acted for tonight's vote. So everybody's called. And Grassley's not on the list, but he's the one heading up the deal. So be sure and get Chuck Grassley too. And that's it.
We might have a good chance with him.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he's the one who coordinates it. So he's our guy. But just show him your support, give him an attaboy, saying you've called all the wonkers, and you want to get everybody in there. So hopefully we can be this active when 26. We got to prepare now for 26, guys. It is literally around the corner. And it's so hard to vet these people because there's so many people who claim to be pro-MAGA and they're just not. Because once they get in there and they take the cocktail, they're like Jim Jones. Once they drink the Kool-Aid, that's it. They're in the, K Street land and all of it.
That's kind of assuming that those people really died from drinking the Kool-Aid, but we can still use that analogy because if you dig into that little rabbit hole, I do.
Well, you know about that, Sally, from the Gladio.
Oh, I definitely know about that. Ruby Ridge. I know about all of those guys.
Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
No, you think that getting all those people to drink Kool-Aid was a feat? What about all those shots, man?
I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure if Jennifer got busy. I knew that she was busy today while opening this space. I'm going to continue as long as the conversation continues. Once the conversation dies down, then we will go our separate ways for the evening. But I did want to give you guys an update on some good news. With the help and advocacy of Grassley, there have been 3 whistleblowers from HHS that have been hired back. They were promoted and they were given back pay. Aaron still isn't on that list, so we're going to keep advocating for him. But that's, to me, hopefully that's a good sign that Aaron will be hired back because he was one of the main whistleblowers that brought everyone else to testify at the Senate. But that is, to me, that's great news. They testified, blew the whistle about the DNA testing and how it wasn't being done. So for children coming across the border. So that's a big win. I don't always want to talk about all the bad stuff. To me, that's a huge win. Go ahead, AQ. Oh, I think she accidentally came off of mute. Okay, that's okay. I think she's new to spaces, so we're going to be patient with those people who are new to spaces because we do want people to come and participate. Let's see.
Hey, real quick. I just want another link in the purple pill. Miss Lou mentioned the Bill Blaster app, which is a great app. I put the link in the purple pill. If anybody wants to check that out.
Kelly, I'm assuming that you've co-hosted before. You're with American Mission, so I did throw you a co-host. If you can't accept it, that's okay. I don't really need help co-hosting. I can manage this space, bringing up people, bringing down people. So it's not whatever you're doing right now is already bigger than being a co-host. So
okay,
you're already doing the work of a co-host.
If I run into a problem, I'll let you know. When I had accepted it, because I am running the streams, because we are live. I didn't mention we were live on QUX TV, X Live, Rumble, Pilled, Kick, and YouTube. And I've been putting the phone numbers in the chat, and now I'm displaying that list from Mike Engelman so the people on the platforms can see the numbers to call.
Only here at American Mission you get this. Adam, why have you not grabbed Mike? These are usually your call to action spaces. I would assume that you would be up here speaking. Maybe you're busy today. No, but I think that's exciting that the progress is being made through HHS. I mean that I read that this morning. That was my only joy that I had this morning until having this space with you guys. Well, it wasn't joy, but call to action, working together is just really important.
Now I see a hand raised. I think it's a I see it on my laptop, the Patriot Z, but I don't see it on my phone. So, Patriot, did you have something to say?
No, my hand ain't up.
Okay.
I'm just sitting here.
Just know on PC, the hands will stay up forever, even when they go down. But I can see hands. Go ahead, Miss Lou.
Okay, another actionable point for you guys is to really get on Speaker No Johnson's phone and tell him we have got to get the rescissions in this big bill. We have got to get them. Two things are important. The tax cuts that Trump wants, because if we don't get that, it'll absolutely piss off the entire base across the country. So we've got to get the no tax on tips, no tax on overtimes, no tax for Social Security. But that Biden took away, the general tax cuts that Trump had implemented in his first term, the deadline's coming up for rescinding those, and we've got to get that continued, or many of us will be paying 48% more in taxes. So let's get that done. The second thing is the DOGE cuts. We've got to get them to pay attention to that through the rescissions. So those two things. We don't love the big, beautiful bill in many ways because the spending is still huge and it's taking us into over 52 trillion in debt. But we've got to do it for now because Trump needs it for all the other things he needs. But at some point, somebody in DC has got to wake up and set up a real budget, or we're just going to be, Venezuela. Thanks, guys.
Do you know what?
Hearing that makes me want to start a tea party.
Does anybody know?
1776 was started on 3% tax. Okay, think about that.
It was 2-cent increase on your tea. You started a whole revolution over, and you're sitting here paying half of your paycheck like good little goy. What is wrong with you?
Who pays half of their paycheck? I don't live in Canada. Guys, we don't have to do hands at this moment in time. We can just kind of bounce back and forth and just have a conversation. Go ahead, Patriot.
I was just said no hands, Patriot.
Yeah,
But his
I
hand
just
was
heard
still
it
up
now.
before you, Adam. Just go Patriot, then we'll go to no hands.
So I was going to say next year is 250 years of America, and it's going to be awesome.
That's why Adam said he'd come up, because he's like, oh, no hands. I'm coming up then. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, go ahead. You called on me. Sorry, I was in the middle of rewiring an OBD scanner for a car. So yeah, kind of busy at the moment. Sorry, I couldn't partake in the space there.
Yeah, you're usually in American Mission spaces. I'm kind of disappointed in you today, I'm feeling sad.
Oh yeah, I heard it in your voice, so I ran right up here to calm and soothe your emotions. It's okay.
Appreciate it.
It sounds like a cope excuse.
Sounds like it, Adam. It sounded like it.
He's like, you called on me, so I'm not going to speak, and I'm just going to use this excuse to not speak, and I'll talk when I want to now.
You know,
Nah.
he heard me explaining why we were holding this space earlier, and he could tell that I was near tears, and so he's like, screw that shit up. I don't want to be around Sally when she's like that. I get it. I wouldn't either. Go ahead, Miss Positive.
Stuff. Oh, I did find an atrazine water filter that you could buy, and it's made by, what's the name of the company here? Let me see here. Clearly Filtered, and they do have all sorts of good filters that take out the atrazine. And you know, boiling water concentrates atrazine.
I did not know that. Does reverse osmosis also work on atrazine?
I'm not certain, but possibly.
So
I know reverse osmosis works for a lot of good removing, chemicals and elements.
I would think it would work as long as you don't boil it all the way down to nothing and leave some kind of water in the bottom of the pan to hold the chemicals that you're trying to boil out.
So reverse osmosis isn't, but real quick, guys, we're going to go to Miss Positive. She is someone who's not used to interjecting, so she did put her hand up. Go ahead, Miss Positive.
Yes, thank you. Yes, and I'm busy, and this is very important. So do me a favor, because I did call John Cornyn's office because I am in Texas, but I did Washington, Austin, San Antonio, Dallas. And this is so important. I was able to speak to staff, but this is what you need to do. Learn how to engage with the staff. Ask them, what do they know about an NGO? Have the data in front of you. If you're in Texas, bring up Donna, Texas, bring up Melissa, Texas, bring up Epic City. Engage with them because you're in Texas. If you are, ask them how in their conscience are they sitting back and not pushing John Cornyn to vote for Ed Martin. They did answer me. I did speak to all of the staff and they were surprised. A couple of their answer was, well, I kind of know about an NGO. I'm a little bit informed about child trafficking. I did go into detail. I did give them Data Republic and I gave them Spunky and I gave them a couple of other sites that do have more information. But they're the ones who are pushing him. And I told them very clearly, I said, you can choose to sit back and you can act like a robot or whatever you're told to say. But when you go to bed, these children are raped. We've got doctors sewing them up. And if you're sitting back not pushing for him to sign and approve Ed Martin, then this isn't going to change. And it's your future that's being affected. It's your tax dollars and it's not just ours. And we're not the enemy. And I had 3 of them, the one in Austin, Washington, which he was receptive, and the one in San Antonio, they thanked me because I didn't send a message of just go vote, have them vote this, because I told them why. Because they're not as informed as you might think they are. But I appreciated that. And I get a lot of headway with Ted Cruz's office. They do listen, and I have given them data from other journalists, and they will go, search it out, and I'll call them back. And they said, hey, will you call me back? I want to learn more. So use it as a teaching moment and talk about the cloud seeding, talk about the bill, how important it is to you and how it's affecting their future. And just say, look, you can sit back. You are going to be fired because we know John Cornyn's going to be gone. Your job is gone. But they're going to look at what you've done for that office and what you've done for the constituents, which is 0 when you don't voice your opinion. And they said thank you to me. So anyways, I don't know if he's going to vote, but it was worth a try and I wanted to share that. Thank you for letting me speak.
That is a really amazing strategy.
Hold on, Miss Lou. Hold on. I got to say something just real quick to her. So
of course,
my original call to action to this space is actually getting people to call people in Florida for a case with a good dad who's a police officer who had raped his daughter from the age of 18 to 4 years of age and then yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. I'll put this down in the purple pill, everything that happened. But Miss Positive, I know that you're someone who is very active, that does actually make phone calls, that gets involved. So I would appreciate your help and read through the purple pill because this case is very egregious. So it was dual. I wanted
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to tell you something. You can do this with what you want, but I know it's factual and I got the data and I got it from an undercover officer. Okay, this is going to hurt you and I'm sorry. Pray after I say this and I'm sorry. I don't usually speak in spaces because of people who tell me stuff and it's horrific. If you really want to end this crap and you want to get down to your local level, ask them to check out the sanitary department in every state. And yes, Sally, the agent I'm talking to does know about that. And yes, they're got Ted Cruz's ear on it to do something.
But this is in Florida.
I know that.
Oh,
they're all
okay.
connected. They're all the sanitary department. Where you're talking about that this is happening. It's happening at the sanitary department where there's incineration of garbage is where they're hiding the children. Is what I've been told.
I know, but I'm talking about a specific.
I know, but I'm trying to do broader.
Well, I'm
so
not doing
people will
broader.
call.
I'm not doing broader today. Today I have a specific call. Today I'm doing a specific call to
for that
action.
one? Okay.
Yes, because this dad has been granted visitation with his daughter. So I need people to specifically call those numbers up above in the Jumbotron to make sure that they know that we know, and he is a police officer at a high school. So what I'm saying is that's why I started this space, because this father should not have visitation with that child ever. He was held in Michigan. They screwed up the case. They had evidence of C-SPAN on his phone with bondage with very young children under the ages of 8, very young, small children. So I have a very specific call to action. Everything else, Ms. Positive, that you're saying, I agree with. But today, this was a specific, not broader today. So that's sorry I got stern with you, but that's like real. This is like I found out about this at 4 a.m. my time. I didn't go to sleep until I got a hold of people that said they would help me do a call to action space, right? And so that's why we started. And then Jen, I'm like, I don't want to open a space on top of you. She had a call to action for Ed Martin. So the first half of this space was about that situation. It's up in the Jumbotron. Everything's also down in the purple pill. But we are switching back to Ed Martin. I was just letting you know because you're good at contacting people. So I do appreciate you.
And those numbers for the case is the very first post in the Jumbotron. So you got to scroll all the way over to the right and you'll get those information about the child abuse case.
And thank you, Kelly, once again for, oh my gosh, like I said, I know why American Mission has her, because she is on the ball, putting links, everything in there, typing stuff out. I do want to welcome, Missy, you can go and then go say hi to Kay. I think she disappeared. Miss Kay, how are you doing today? And thank you. If you have anything to add about Ed Martin, I very greatly appreciate it.
Oh my goodness, Sally, thank you so much. My microphone was ticking. And hello, Miss Carmen, and also Kelly. The Ed Martin story, thank heavens, has blown up. I'm glad, because hopefully it will get people on the phone talking about this. I've heard that if Grassley doesn't schedule a hearing for him today, upcoming hearing for him, then they may not make the May 20th deadline. That doesn't mean that all's for naught. But I wanted to warn folks when I did that post on Saturday that this is really real. It sounds crazy. It really does. But if you like Jack Smith or Mark Elias or, God forbid, Merrick Garland to be a U.S. attorney in D.C., this could really happen. And it's happened before. So I wanted to send up.
Okay, isn't it Judge Boasberg, Boza or whatever, that gets to pick if we don't get a conflict?
Well, it's actually
it's very urgent.
It's actually more nebulous than that. It says the court, so it could be Boasberg, it could be Boasberg plus the entire DC court. You know, so what? They're all lefties. I guess they'll get out a dartboard and throw darts and figure out someone to a noise. There are ways to get around it. If, for instance, on day 119, Martin steps down, Pam Bondi could in fact put someone else in temporarily, or you just let Boasberg do it, put him in as assistant U.S. attorney, let Trump fire whoever the joker is that Boasberg puts in, and boom, he's now acting U.S. attorney again. There are ways around it because it's such a bizarre idea that you have the executive branch being appointed by the judicial branch. It short circuits the president's prerogative to nominate and the Senate's prerogative and advice and consent. To me, it's a separation of powers issue, and it should be taken up because this has happened before. I think it was New York, where they had some U.S. attorney that some judge put in, and he was in there for years. So we don't want that because Ed Martin in particular is bold. He is fearless. And he strikes fear at the heart of people like Adam Schiff, which is why Adam put a hold on his nomination. So I'm grateful to everybody who shared that post. I'm grateful to everybody who got the word out. And I'm eternally grateful for those who have made phone calls because, yeah, this is really important if you want Trump's agenda to go through. Thank you all.
Absolutely, Kay. This is very important. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, breaking news from our good friends at CNN. The president is actively making telephone calls to the U.S. Senate. So he's...
Thank God. I'm thinking, Chris, that Tom Tillis may be doing this because he is using it as leverage to get a Trump endorsement. That's my theory going into this. He's trying to get a deal, Mr. Art of the Deal. I could be wrong, but that could be it. I don't know. I know that the agenda is never the agenda.
Tillis had his appointment, his endorsement last time, I believe. And there was some question as to whether his daughter-in-law was going to run for that seat, but she decided she doesn't want that. And
she's wise.
Yeah, I would say because she would probably end up like Marjorie Taylor Greene did her first term.
Well, yeah, people who have anything on the ball, it's hard to exist in Congress in any way, shape, or form. But I'm hopeful. I mean, this nomination is definitely in trouble. For those who don't know, Ed Martin comes from a policy background. He was at Eagle Forum with Phyllis Schlafly. Phyllis Schlafly was bold, daring, brave. She's the reason why the ERA amendment went down in flames in the 70s. And she went to law school at age 45 after raising 6 kids. This woman was a powerhouse, and that's who his mentor was. So he kind of brings a policy wonk background to it, and that's not always a good mix because, yeah, he's been out there and saying some things that have made people draw in their breaths a little, right? But those of us who are in America First love him because he is clear-eyed when it comes to the prosecutions he chooses, who he's going after. And I think that's why Adam Schiff got scared to death and put the hold on it, his nomination, because Adam knows he'd be in trouble if Ed Martin's in there.
Don't y'all?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris.
Adam Schiff needs to be in trouble just on general principle, but that's another story.
Was Adam Schiff pardoned?
I don't believe so. I don't think he was on. Well, actually, he was, but as part of the part of the January 6th. Yeah, the J6 list. Yes.
But his pardon for J6 gives him a blanket pardon, and he also has immunity being a member of Congress, right?
Yeah, but there are other things. I mean, we've discovered all kinds of mortgage things about him, a la Letitia James. So, you know,
Yeah,
there's those other things, and the pardon does not cover other new sins against humanity.
Adam Schiff is basically a resident of Maryland. He's not a resident of California. And he shows up in California at election time, and if he's invited by somebody who's going to pay for his ticket.
Well, the difference is, look, all these guys have, you know, houses or group houses or homes or whatever in Maryland, Virginia, or DC. And then they have a home in their home state, all right? The difference is on his mortgage lending form, he said, as part of, to get this house, to get this mortgage, he said that that would be his primary residence. And that's a big no-no.
Well, you know, they have to sign an oath in order to become congressmen. So sure, a pardon might protect them from civil trial or legal trials, but it doesn't protect them from military trials.
Well, and criminal too. Understand that there is a level where immunity does not cover. See George Santos.
Oh no, under United States Criminal Code, presidential pardon covers everything except for military crimes.
Sure about that, Pepe?
Pretty sure.
It actually isn't a blanket thing when it comes to new things that come up and certain criminal activities. There's a level in which immunity doesn't reach, nor does the pardon. The pardons are specific. And that's why you saw the dates, for example, on Hunter Biden's pardon, right? That was much more of a blanket pardon than anything Schiff got. Schiff got specifically for his activities in the J6 committee.
Yeah, and the presidential pardon power is plenary. So, you know, and
basically infallible.
And on top of that, he's the commander in chief. So, he has two roles that he plays with the military, but the pardon power extends to all U.S. citizens and non-U.S. and non-U.S. people should he decide to give one to them. But they are
right. But it doesn't.
Pepe, hold on. Let Chris finish what he's saying. Then you can jump in, right? But it's only for federal crimes, right? They can still be prosecuted at the state level, except for DC because that goes under the jurisdiction as the federal courts. Go ahead, Chris. Let Chris finish. Then you can jump in, Pepe.
You pretty much, hit it out of the park on the tail end of it. So go ahead.
Also, a pardon doesn't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Okay. Sure, it pardons you for the crime, but it doesn't put the toothpaste back in the tube. In other words, this is why I harp on the Rule 48. The Rule 48 basically vacates any decision that is made in court, and either the prosecutor has to do it or the U.S. Attorney General. This is what they did for General Flynn. So it was much better than a pardon.
Right, but what I'm saying is it's like double jeopardy. Okay, you can't be charged twice for the same crime, but if you're a military or you sign an oath to the Constitution and you violate that oath to the Constitution, you can be held under military tribunal and you can be held under military laws after being charged by the state or the federal level. So you can be charged twice for the same crime, technically under military laws. That's where the pardon doesn't. That's where I'm saying where the pardon doesn't reach under the military laws, because just like if you sign the oath, you can be charged for something in the state and the federal, and then also be charged by military tribunal for the same crime. So that's the only loophole to double jeopardy.
Except for the fact that it is really, really difficult to try in military courts for military. The burden of proof is extremely, extremely strong. It has to be outstanding.
Yeah, and Pepe,
they violated the oath.
No, go to Chris.
The pardon power. I mean, he can give more than one pardon. The president is not limited to how many pardons he wants to give or who he wants to give them to, or Actually the form of the pardon. There's nothing in the Constitution that says that the president can't write a pardon on the back of a dinner napkin and hand it off to you. As long as you can prove that's the president's signature, that's a valid pardon.
Right. But it has to specifically mention that, and I'm pretty sure that Biden's pardons didn't specifically protect anybody that he pardoned from military tribunals, only from state and federal.
I've been in so many spaces with very intelligent lawyers, Judge Joe Brown. They have all broken down his pardons that Joe Biden did. The only thing that would even come close to maybe avoiding some of them is if they could, without a doubt, prove the automated signature. That would be the only thing that's going to make it hard for them to go.
Oh, I'm not saying void them at all, Sally. They can keep those pardons, but if they get charged under a military tribunal for violating the oath to the Constitution,
you did not let me finish what I was saying. We went through all the options of trying them on military tribunals. We went through all of this stuff, and it is very difficult to try someone through the military courts. You have to have irrefutable proof. It's not just like, oh, they went against their oath. No, it is much more difficult to have that done. And that's what I'm trying to tell you right now. If there are charges, the way to go about them would be at the state level, or a conspiracy charge, which would be a new charge that they were not pardoned from everything that I've understood in the last 6 months about these pardons.
Or, yeah, you're exactly right, Sally. Or, look, we got Al Capone on tax evasion. I'm perfectly happy to smack, Adam Schiff with the mortgage lending issue. It's not a small issue, and Letitia James as well. Whatever we can get them on is what I want. Frankly, I'm more interested in people like Norm Eisen, who have done more damage to the judiciary than almost anybody single-handedly. Mark Elias, those types. But if it comes to Adam Schiff, I'm quite sure that the opening salvo for Ed Martin has been, this mortgage lending and the financial disclosure forms and all of that they have to do as United States senators. Letitia James, I think they've got her dead to rights on it. And the hypocrisy factor is delicious with Letitia James in particular. So I'm hopeful in this. I agree with Sally. It's much different in a military tribunal for the requirements of any kind of evidence. But whatever we can get them on, and we know that they've done a lot, right? So I'll take anything at this point. And frankly, I'm also kind of thrilled that President Trump is opening up Alcatraz as well. I think that's pretty cool. I think he watched Birdman or The Rock or, Escape from Alcatraz, and he likes the idea, and frankly, so do I.
Yeah, someone was telling me that it's scheduled to be done renovating in 2028. I like the idea of it, but would it be done soon enough? I do like it. I'm on board with it. Was I can also say that's another.
Sally, I was in a cell in Alcatraz.
You were? Did you go visit it? Did you go on a tour?
Yeah.
I called your joke. Go ahead, Kelly. Kelly, did you want to say something?
No, I was just about to say he'll never tell, but then he laughed. So, yeah.
I know that I know someone that went to go visit Alcatraz and their rental car got broken in the parking lot. How funny is that?
It's the Birdman of Alcatraz we have on our stage, right, Sally?
Plot twist: Chris is the only person to ever escape from Alcatraz.
Oh, you want to hear my Alcatraz story? This is my Alcatraz story. So, I was newly married. I was 5 months pregnant at the time. My ex decides, let's go on a road trip all the way to California. Let's circle around, go see every single chopper and Harley shop that ever existed. Great honeymoon, right? Anyway, so he had family in San Francisco, and he's like, oh yeah, we'll take him this little private plane. And I was still kind of not feeling that well. Maybe I was 16 weeks. Anyway, we go up in this little plane. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not feeling that great. So I ate this like really, really big breakfast. So the whole time from takeoff to landing, I was like really not feeling it. So like I don't know, it was vertigo, whatever it was, I was sicker than crap. Well, we were about to land. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it. I'm not gonna puke all over this plane. I'm gonna make it. Well, he's like, oh, you know what? Let's take a little detour. Let's go over here. And I was just like, my eyes are closed. I'm doing the deep breathing exercises. Right on the landing, all over the plane. I did get to see Alcatraz though, and a couple sharks swimming around, but I and he didn't have a go bag. He didn't have one of those little doggy barf bags in the plane, because that's his bad. So we had this tiny plane. And of course, men, they can't handle cleaning up puke. So because I was kind of embarrassed, cleaned it up. But yeah, it was kind of funny. That was my experience with Alcatraz. I have no desire to go in a little tiny plane ever again.
Could you imagine trying to escape from that island and just swimming in shark-infested waters and having like an open cut or something from escaping? Like you get over the barbed wire and you slice your leg or something. Then you go swimming through blackfin-infested waters. How really far do you think you're going to get?
Well, how about we know that they have this ability now to dig tunnels under the ocean. Like these companies actually can do this. I'm thinking, how many tunnels do you think are already dug to Alcatraz? So they could just go down those little steps. I don't know, take an elevator. I don't know how they get all the way to the bottom of the ocean, and then they just go get in this little tunnel, and then they would just, like I want to know if that's something that's my conspiracy right there. It's been in my head ever since I read that post from Trump.
Well, couldn't we just dig a hole from the bottom of the ocean floor into the tunnels and just let, the Kraken eat them?
I like that idea.
It would fill up with water. It would just be a tube for his tentacle to go through, wouldn't it?
That's
all right.
Death by Kraken.
We're going to give this Teddy Swim just one more chance at coming up on space. I've only given this. Teddy, I'm going to come to you right away.
Hello, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah. What's up, Fred? Oops. Can you hear me? Who muted?
I did. I fat fingered. I pulled a Chris. Sorry.
Well, usually it's me who does that. So go ahead, Teddy. We're going to give you another chance. That was an accidental mute. As soon as you can unmute your mic, just go ahead and start speaking. It's one of these glitches with these spaces.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's up?
Hey, I'm from Nigeria. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. Thank you. From Nigeria.
All right. Please, I just want to join you guys on your conversation.
You're just enjoying our conversation?
Yeah.
Cool.
I've been here for a while right now, so I just have to join you guys right.
Well, I appreciate you coming into our spaces and always listening to our conversations. There's a lot going on here in the United States that are going in a really good, positive direction. So hopefully it's going to trickle down to your countries as well.
As a Nigerian, how does it make you feel that the most famous African is a white man?
You're funny, though.
On that period.
You're funny, though, Pepel.
I'm not sending you any money, buddy. Nice try, though.
I'm not a scam, okay?
Oh, no.
Hey, Pepe,
That's what they all say.
Don't be talking crap to my guest on the stage. He's been in several of my spaces. He's listened all the time.
You just asked me to send him money through PayPal,
he did?
Sally.
Oh, yeah, we don't do this PayPal stuff. Thank you for coming.
I'm not the one, okay? I'm not a scammer.
Bye. Thank you. We don't. I thought that you were going to solicit money, but I was kind of giving you a chance to see if that maybe you weren't, because I will pray for you. I'll pray for your country, but I don't send money. Go ahead, Chris.
Pepe, did you just date this guy, or did he really ask you for money?
I did not entrap anybody. Nice try.
Hey, I'm just trying to give you the benefit of the doubt.
See, Carmen's like, oh, hold on. I'm like, no, I want to see it play out because I need to know if I should be. I give people a chance once they prove who they are, then I know who to remove in the future and not give a microphone to. So that
I thought he was very nice, Sally. I really did. And so then Pepe said that, and I'm going, Pepe. But you better have that message saying that, Pepe.
Carmen, did you just bring him back up?
Nope.
How did he get back on stage? Because I removed him.
I did
I
not.
don't
I
see
don't know.
him. I see
Something's weird
John.
happening because when you said bye
Please,
to him, my ex
Pepe,
scratched.
Hold
I
on.
love
That
that
was
word.
really
Okay,
weird.
can you?
Yeah.
I removed him from the space. I did not send him.
He was just trying to apologize, but he hacked his way back in just to apologize to me.
Yeah.
But he still wants money.
Hold on, Pepe.
Pepe.
Wait, if he's that good a hacker, why does he need money? He just steal it.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, next time, Pepe, you can bait him.
You're my
Pepe,
idea.
I'm good at asking questions and sussing people out. I wanted to have a little bit of fun with him before we got to that level.
Is this going to continue to push to the east and northeast?
John.
Yeah.
Can you mute your mic, please?
Hello?
John?
Yeah,
No.
this is John. This is John. Hello? If you'd leave my mic on,
I didn't
I'll be
mute you.
Okay. Sorry,
I'll be
John,
off.
that was me. I'm trying to make sure everybody's in here because people are coming off mics left and right, right? So we're trying to get, one person at a time. So I'm sorry I'm muting your mic, but not really. I'm going to mute everybody's mic that comes off the mic when they're not supposed to be, okay? So thank y'all. We have been having a smooth space.
That's just like I had.
Who runs the retard account?
Okay. I'm just about to drop everyone from this. Okay,
Not telling you.
Ezra, John, you just barely got up on stage. You don't come up with a hot mic. You can wait 3 seconds. Mute your mic again, John, or so I'm dropping you right down to listener. Like I'm going to give you one more chance. There's a mute button. If I have to do it for you manually, then I'm going to drop you. I'm just saying, you can be respectful and then, be calm. Okay, John, now I'm going to come to you. You can unmute your mic and speak. What you got to add to this conversation?
What I have to add is that one individual was right on the military tribunals.
Okay.
I spent 21 years in the Marine Corps. I know all about those things. So there. Number two, as far as Adam Schiff goes and his hold on Martin, holds in the Senate are only supposed to last, I believe, 2 days.
Can you
or
turn your
48
TV down in the
hours.
background so we can hear you, please?
They're only supposed to last like 2 days or 48 hours, I think. But what he can do is every time that vote comes up, he can object. Just like what's his name from Alabama did to all the military promotions. And he did that for an entire year. He objected to those promotions. So it's not over with, folks. I'll tell you right now. And Schiff's a smart dude. And there's a lot of smart guys on the Democratic side over there. A hell of a lot more than on the Republican side. Because my two senators from Kansas, they're worthless. Marshall and Moran. They won't even have a town hall in Johnson County, one of the largest and richest counties in the United States. So therefore, Marshall, he's gone in 26. He's gone. Even if we have to put in a different Republican, we're prepared to do that. But he will be gone because he has done nothing to help us. And he talks about, and he lives, check this now, you're talking about living somewhere. Okay, he has a little cabin over here in Kansas. His primary residence is in Florida. Okay, he's got a multi-million-dollar home down in Florida. He only comes to Kansas on Father's Day and Mother's Day. That's about it. That's what we put up with up here. And we've got one representative that's a Democrat, and she does a hell of a job. She does better than the other 3 representatives in Congress. It's just people just don't want to listen, and people want to just attack. And what you fail to recall, and I've said this many times on here. One thing I did learn in Vietnam in 22 months was everybody bleeds the same color. And people on here, the MAGAs especially, they don't seem to understand that.
Do you want John? Do you want John?
Wait a minute. Just a minute.
Nope, not going here today. Every space I come into, right? You want to be making this MAGA or the this and the MAGA or the that. Don't ever lump us all into one category because most of us are not. I'm not in the mood for this today. I do believe in the military tribunals. Like I said, I have done lots of research, been in lots of spaces with lots of lawyers to have this conversation. Yes, they can do military tribunals. What I was trying to say, it is very difficult to prove. Not in the mood for this. I'm not in the mood for this. We had action items today, and we are sticking to this. And I've let this conversation turn into just a little bit of fun banter because you know what? After talking about child rape, I have to have a little bit of fun. So, John, I'm not in the mood for your crap today. Go ahead, Kay.
Thanks, Sally. Yeah, you're right that holds last for 2 days, but then they do something called tag teaming. And if they have more than one senator, they can put a hold indefinitely. And the only way to get it over is through either unanimous consent or cloture vote to stop it. And we just don't have the votes for that.
Thank you, Kay, for coming in and adding. Ezra, you're done. Thank you for.
Okay, yeah, Ezra, you got to go.
But nope, and John, you're going down too because you just came off of mic. Thank you for playing. I'm not. I don't know when people go into spaces. I am very, very lenient. I allow opposition, but I don't like these people that come in all nice with a hostile voice, try to tell me, well, you keep muting me. Well, no shit. You came off of mic without me allowing you to come off of mute or calling on you. You did put your hand up, right? So no, I run a lenient. I will hear different points of view, but today I'm just not in the mood for it when we're doing a call to action space. Join a space. There's lots of other oppositional spaces that you can go into. This is not the space for that today. We are talking about policy. We are talking about calls to action. We've got Ed Martin that needs to be confirmed, and we are talking about Lee Dundas, who is helping to save a child from going to her predator dad. So all the information is down below in the purple pill. It is up in the Jumbotron. I need people to make phone calls, send emails. All of the information has been provided for you with the help of Kelly. She's been on it today. So that's what we can have a little bit back and forth fun, but we do have another space that is started by Patriot Savvy. So in 10 minutes, we will close up and redirect over there because she was the only person that responded to me today and said, yeah, I'll come help you do a call to action space. Jennifer with American Missions, like, hey, you know what? Let's just combine our spaces. And so I'm grateful for these people that actually care about what's going on in our country and with the children in this country. We do have Aaron Stevenson. I don't know if he's still down below. Guys, he's another person that we have to advocate. Like I said earlier, 3 HHS whistleblowers have been hired back and they've gotten promoted and back pay. So now we've got to focus on getting Aaron hired back so that we can get the right people in positions of power to make a difference when it comes to our children. But the rest of this space can be any of those topics or just some fun for 10 minutes. Thank you for your patience, guys. I'm sorry I lost my cool, but I'm just not in the mood for any more negative today.
In John's defense, he's kind of new to spaces, so he probably didn't know your
I
name.
have been in at least 15 spaces with him. No, he's not new to spaces. He might be new to your spaces, but he is not new to spaces that I have been in. And it's the same thing. Starts out nice with a really stern, like condescending voice, and then he goes into bashing MAGA. You can bash MAGA. You can do it all day long. I don't care, right? I care about making America great again.
Oh, I've never seen that. He must be.
Well, he does. He does. I've known John. Listen, John is not new to spaces. Okay, John's been doing this. As soon as he come up off that mic, I'm over here with a button ready because I knew where he was going. And so you just learn people, okay? And it's just when you're talking about children being sex trafficked and being raped. This is, you kind of get into a place where you're like, yeah, I'm just not even in the mood for anybody to come in here and worry about MAGA and this and that and the other. Let's worry about the child that is voiceless and that needs to be heard through our voices, right? So we need to be picking up the phone. We need to be writing emails while we're in here. We need to be doing whatever we have to do to make sure that man is brought to justice for that child to move forward so she can have somewhat of a life ahead of her and start healing, so we have to be the voices of these children that have no voice. And when it comes to that, John and whoever else wants to come in here and disrupt, be ready because we're not playing no games.
Speaking of, Carmen, did you see Stephen Miller's press briefing?
I did not, Pepe.
Oh, I will send you that in the DM. Hold on.
you.
I'll look up a clip from it.
It's a good one.
Well, I can't wait. I think that we probably should allow Kelly to, have a good. I don't know how long you guys usually run these spaces, but I am going to say this one more time that I am grateful, and I thank everyone who came in and participated in this call to action. Those who made phone calls, those who wrote emails, those who helped put the information up there as we were doing a last minute space, collecting all the information so that you guys don't have to go searching. Right? You just have to go this little purple pill. You click on it. There's all the phone numbers right there. There's all the information. If you don't want to listen, you can read. Everything is down below. And guys, make sure you are following American Mission. Their little icon is not up here right now. Go donate them for $2. I mean, what other people says, hey, you know what, let's just combine spaces. Let's just tackle both of these two things together. Very few people do that. They care more about their agenda. And their agenda is to make America great through actually having conversations where we actually do something instead of being keyboard warriors. And we need to become more like that. When there's an important thing, let's combine spaces, let's combine efforts, let's make a difference, right? It can be done. And Carmen, thank you for accepting co-host. Thank you, Kelly, for accepting co-host last minute. Things have shifted. Adam, thank you for finally coming up and speaking. And Kay, thank you for coming up and adding your wisdom to the conversation, because your knowledge is very important, and I always value it when we have these conversations. And Pepe, thanks for being annoying as usual and coming off mic and adding some levity to this conversation. It is needed as well at times. So, okay, with that said, does anyone put your hand up if you have any last words? I did put down in the purple pill the space that Patriot Savvy is doing. I don't know what her topic is. But it's down in the purple pill. You guys can migrate over there until we have the pub chat at 7 p.m. That's another great space to go over and join. What are your topics tonight, Ms. Kay?
Well, there's a bunch of them. I'm going to give some more insight on the Ed Martin deal, and we've got a ton of news coming up, and we may have a pretty cool guest on Wednesday. So it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much, Miss Sally. And Miss Carmen, I hope your grandbaby's doing better. I've been praying for her.
Thank you, Kay.
Yes, I hope that can you give us a quick update? How is she doing? How are her vitals?
She's not doing good. I'm just going to go ahead and preach to you raw. She is not making any urine. Therefore, if she doesn't make any urine, she can't produce any urine. Of course, then her kidneys aren't working, which in turn can cause her to have kidney failure. Also, if she's not making any urine, it would help to get her lungs functioning, to get strong enough to where they could put her on dialysis, and nothing's happening. And so we just had a little bit of a little quick emergency just a few minutes ago. Her potassium was very high. And so they were trying to get her off the ventilator a little bit to give her some calcium or something else to try and bring it down. We just got to keep praying. And God's will be done. She's a pretty little girl. At the end of the day, we just have to put her in God's hands, and He either takes her home with Him or He leaves her here with us. And either way, we're grateful that we've had the opportunity to meet her, and just keep praying. And miracles happen at the last minute. You just never know. So thanks y'all let me say, the community of X that have surrounded me with prayers and surrounded my family and my son with prayers has been extraordinary. I mean, I don't even have the words to put together how grateful and in times of feeling so lost and just not understanding how much it meant to me to open my phone and be able to read certain things from people and people reaching out. You guys have truly helped me through every single minute of this journey, and we're still on it, and I appreciate you taking the time to do that. So thank you. I love you. God bless you, and just keep praying for baby Olivia.
Thank you for sharing an update. And I will continue to pray for you. And I'm not dismissing what you're saying, but I'm too emotional to go there right now. Babies are the hardest thing for me. I've seen it. So my heartfelt, I'm not going to say condolences because I'm just going to keep praying. I'm going to believe in miracles. Kelly, I don't have all of the American Mission plugs memorized. And since they helped me out, I would appreciate if you would plug them for me.
Of course. Well, American Mission, we're here to ginny everybody up, give them the action. And I did want to say that, because we've been talking about for the next elections and stuff, but we really need to focus on the legislation that's in there now, because we need to get these executive orders pushed through as legislation, because that's that's a very big crisis we're facing right now, because we were looking at all the bills that they've had out there since this January. And like Jen was talking before, is that they'll write a bill, an executive order. They start off hot and heavy. Oh yeah, I wrote a bill for it. And it just sits, right? It's been sitting there since January. So we're going to see what bills have been written for executive orders and which haven't. And we're prioritizing them, and we're going to go after them. And we'll have some more action spaces on that. I really appreciate it. And I just want to say tomorrow night, look for us with the civic space that is at, hold on, let me think. Oh yeah, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Thank you very much, Kelly. And once again, thank you guys. Tell us what platforms you're on again. You forgot to do that, just so people know where to find you.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Will you tell us what platforms you're on? You're on Rumble, Pill.net?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We are, of course, on X, American Mission _ at the end. Don't forget the little underscore at the end. But yes, we are on Rumble and Pilled and YouTube and Kicks. And we are also on Locals and True Social. We are on Facebook, but kind of got suspended on there, hopefully temporarily. So gonna try and get that addressed. But anyway, yes, that's all the platforms we are on. And if you, we also have a link tree on our American Mission X page. You can click on that and get linked right to the platforms we are on.
All right, I do have to go.
Until Zuckerberg doesn't block it.
Hold on just 1 second. Apothecary came up. She obviously, you were closing. She must have something to say. So I'm going to go to her real quick. Thank you. Go ahead, Apothecary.
So I wanted to make a little plug. People don't know, a lot of people don't know, but there is a prayer group that has been in place here on X for quite some time. It's a lot of very devoted and dedicated women. Whenever we come across any post from anybody, we don't care who it is, if they express a need for prayer, and we see that, especially when we see the words "please pray," we bring that post into a back channel, and we are all committed to pray. There's no discussion in there. There's no talk. There's no putting spaces. That's all it is. You can DM me, or you can make a post and tag me and let me know. You can DM Doc Martin, Stacy, Glenda, any Nancy, any of the people in there. If you call it to our attention, or if we even just randomly run across it, we bring it in there, and that is covered in prayer by all of us. So I just wanted to just let you know the name of our prayer group is Please Pray. And we absolutely do. And we're committed every single day to go through there and pray for anything that we have not yet, prayed for ourselves. And then we mark it with an emoji. And that's been going on for some time, and we're very dedicated to that. So, if baby Olivia, Carmen, if you want to let me know, I will be happy to just put something in there for her. And that goes for anybody. We don't care who it is, what's going on. It can be an unspoken, unnamed. It doesn't matter. We will get on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Apothecary. Okay, Pepe, what were you going to say? And then we are going to close this space out.
Nothing important. I was just going to tell her to tell Zuckerberg I said to unban it.
Gotcha. Thank you. All right. I am not bringing anyone up. Guys, thank you for being here once again. I did put the link, Patriot Savvy, who supports us day in, day out. I sent her DM. First thing this morning, she's the first person that responded to me after sending several out that I need to do this emergency space today. So I'm going to go over there. I'm going to support her. I hope that you guys will follow over. And then we have the pod tonight at, I said 7. but it's really 9 p.m. Eastern time. It's 7 my time, so 9 p.m. Eastern time, guys. So thank you all for being here, and this is Talk with Sally. Sign out.
Ed Martin's confirmation, Ed Martin doing a great job as U.S. Attorney. How can we help? We go to Article 3. How can we help push this one over the goal line?
Yeah, so Ed Martin is fulfilling President Trump's electoral promise to make D.C. safe again. Ed Martin is focusing like a laser beam on D.C. street crimes, making America's capital safe for Americans to visit again. So it's not Mogadishu like it's been under the Biden regime. So go to Article 3 Project, article3project.org, take action, and contact both of your home state senators, and then tell them to support the confirmation of Ed Martin for the D.C. U.S. Attorney. Let's make D.C. safe again, and Ed Martin will do that.
What's up, everybody? Been out riding side by side a little bit. Just wanted to stop really quick before I go inside and just, wanted to address something. I've said multiple times that the biggest threat to the Trump administration during his second term is going to be the spineless jellyback rhinos in D.C. I've also clearly, said that the way that they're going to be the biggest threat to President Trump is they're going to go against President Trump behind closed doors. It's, we're all going to see the things that take place in person, but all the real things are going to happen behind closed doors. And that's what we're seeing right now already with the nomination for Ed Martin for the U.S. Attorney. We're seeing right now a bunch of rhinos who are being squishy at best. You got Tom Tillis down in North Carolina who's upset because Ed Martin defended January 6th Patriots from the way that we were treated during everything surrounding January 6th, on and after, for that matter. He's upset about that. Tom Tillis is up for re-election. Hopefully we can find somebody to replace that rhino turd. Then you got John Cornyn down in Texas, who is also saying that he has some questions, doesn't know if he's going to support this pick. Lindsey Graham, surprise, surprise, flip-flop, Lindsey Graham has said that, there's some concerns that he has with Ed Martin. Then you got, my senator here in West Virginia, the fourth ranking senator in the country, Shelley Moore Capito, who is as quiet as a church mouse on this issue. The biggest issue, the reason I point those four people out that I just mentioned is these are some of the biggest, the reddest states. Tom Tillis, I guess you could say North Carolina is a swing state, but all the others are hardcore MAGA states. Our representatives from these states should be on the national stage, beating the drum for President Trump's agenda, beating the drum to get President Trump's picks through. And instead, they're being squishy at best, or they're being completely silent on this issue. This is absolutely unacceptable. Newsflash to all four of you, as well as every other rhino turd in D.C. right now, because that's what we have is a bunch of turds in there for the most part. Nobody voted for you guys. Period. That's the truth. You did not get elected on your own merit. There's not a single U.S. senator. There's not a single U.S. congressman on the Republican side who outperformed President Trump in their district. President Trump dragged every single one of your butts across the finish line all across this country. And now you guys want to turn around and act like you are the all-knowing or that you've been given the mandate. No. President Trump was given the mandate by the American people. You just happen to get to be a plus one. You get to ride along and ride the coattails and be part of that mandate. Okay? Do your damn job. Stop hiding around. Get off of vacation if you're in Congress, vacationing 60-some days out of the first 100 days. Despicable by you guys. Those of you in the Senate, nobody voted for you to go in there and be a turd and go against President Trump's agenda. Nobody voted for your agenda. Everybody voted for you because every single one of you, despite what you're doing right now, every last one of you, when you ran your campaign ads, and what you're running right now is MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. I support President Trump. Vote for me. I'm going to push the Trump agenda. I stand with President Trump. It's all a bunch of garbage. It's all a bunch of BS. You can say whatever you want to in campaign ads. It's time to grow a backbone. Tell the reporters, the liberal media, the liberal constituents to tell them to kick rocks, because that's what we need right now. We need to stop playing patty cake politics, dancing around, worried about political reindeer games. This is not the time for political reindeer games. This is the time for some bulldogs who's going to stand in the trenches beside a President Trump who took a freaking bullet for this country and then you can't even go in and just push a button to support the people that he trusts and the people that he wants around him in his administration. Shame on every last one of you. It's despicable. And we're going to continue calling you out. Fall in line with the Trump agenda or get to packing, go home and let somebody else do it, because nobody voted for you to push your own agenda. We stand with President Trump. President Trump stands with Ed Martin, and the American people who elected you stand with Ed Martin. Confirm Ed Martin as U.S. Attorney. Thank you, guys. God bless.
My fellow Americans, tu presidente favorito, and I wanted to wish you a very happy Cinco de Porto. Cinco de Porto is a tremendous day. To all of the illegals, gang members, drug traffickers, human smugglers, and all around bad hombres. Te vamos a sacar de nuestro país, or as I call it, we're getting you the hell out of our country. MS-13, we're getting you the hell out. Tren de Aragua, we're going to get you out, or we're going to put you in Alcatraz. We'll call you Tren de Alcatraz, because we want to reopen Alcatraz. All my beautiful people, they said to me, sir, they said, senor, why do you want to reopen Alcatraz so badly? I said, mi hermano, I got to tell you, you look at it, it's called The Rock. It's named after me. It needs to start acting like it. We are going to rebuild it so beautifully and so strongly and so greatly. We will make Alcatraz great again. We will make America safe again. Thank you. God bless you. Happy Cinco de Porto, and the best is yet to come. Créeme.